By the way, how was Halloween? Did you go trick-or-treating? Or is that still a thing over there? It's still a thing. There were children that went trick-or-treating. I was streaming. The VOD should be up. It's definitely up on my YouTube if you want to go look at it. But it should also be up here on Twitch if you want to bore yourself to death. Okay, let's do mountain. No two summer evenings in Sunsetburg looked quite the same. Not downtown, not the beaches, not on a street where the only change that anyone had seen in years was the arrival of a new tourist. Though you hadn't seen any stars in the sky, you knew the day was almost over from the sound of the chirping crickets. Whose room is this? Because this is not my room. Shadows of swaying branches were stretching across the grass? Well, probably. You hadn't gotten the chance to experience sunset before you pulled into whatever this was while trying to clarify your plans for tomorrow with Baxter. How was your Halloween? I didn't think I asked how your Halloween was. He paced back and forth between a pair of half-packed or half-unpacked, depending on how someone saw it, suitcases. Piles of folded clothes were abandoned on the bed. You stood as far away from the desk as possible. You sat on the only untouched corner of the mattress. You laid out across the top of the half of the bed closest to the headboard. You helped pick up a few things Baxter left lying on the floor. I'm gonna help, because I'm a helpful person. He insisted that he clean up after himself, but you didn't want to be idle, and Baxter wasn't about to turn away a helping hand, least of all yours. You might check the vault later. As you should, I'm joking. Do it if you feel so inclined to. This wasn't the first time that you'd been in the condo. Baxter invited you over before, but so far it'd only been the first floor. You were in the master bedroom now. Oh, was I? Mine was pretty much like any other day. I feel that. Do they have trick-or-treaters over there where you are? You take a little video of your evening walk in the woods. Ooh, was it creepy? As a kid, the condo was the equivalent of Fort Knox. No way in, and if someone unwanted did sneak inside, there was probably no way out. It just wasn't worth the risk. Now, you don't do trick-or-treating here. Do you celebrate Halloween over in Finland? Like, do you do anything at all over there? Being in that room was closer to a fantasy than it was reality, as much as someone could dream about being in a rental bedroom anyway. And yet, here you were, all thanks to Baxter, who didn't seem to realize the gravity of the situation. One of the doors to the armoire, his word for it, was ajar. Hangers rattled from the excessive force Baxter used to remove a few of his jackets. Honestly, he weren't sure why he packed them all at all. It never got cold enough anywhere in Southern California to wear outerwear during the winter, never mind the summer. Some people do, you guess, but it's not a thing here. Do you celebrate the Day of the Dead? I know it's like a big thing in Mexico. If you don't know what it's like Dia de los Muertos, I think it's called. It's Muertos? Is it Muertos or Muertos? It's the Day of the Dead, and like it's a celebration that they do in Mexico to celebrate their loved ones that have passed on. Like, I don't know if you've seen Coco, but Coco is such a beautiful movie. And yet, he still brought them no matter how much he was convinced otherwise. Isn't it like a Mexican thing only? I mean, yeah, but I don't know if you have any Mexican people in Finland who celebrate it. There are people in America who celebrate Dia de los Muertos. I don't know if it's Muertos or Muertos. So I'm just gonna say the Day of the Dead. There are people here in America who celebrate the Day of the Dead, so I don't know what kind of people you have over in Finland. Maybe you have some Mexicans. It'll be cooler in temperature, but just barely. While we won't be seeing any snow, I would suggest you bring a jacket. Oh, sorry, this is Baxter talking. Do I want to do voices? I guess. It'll be cooler in temperature, but just barely. While we won't be seeing any snow, I would suggest you bring a jacket and a sturdy pair of shoes. He pulled another zipper on one suitcase, peering into its contents, but not deeply investigating long enough before he moved into the next thing, a drawer filled with nothing that he abruptly shut. He waited past the only part of his wardrobe that remained neat and in place, formal clothes. You have no idea if you have any Mexicans. Listen, I don't know what kind of friends you made. You could have some. Last Saturday, it was just Pizza Hut, and you heard some kids speak Swedish. Felt weird. You were at Pizza Hut? What language do they speak over in Finland? Do they not speak Swedish there? Is it Finnish? You speak Finnish? Okay. I don't know why I just assumed Finnish was like what the people of Finland were called. You were Finnish. Not that it was the actual language. What is... Swedish is their second language, though. So why was it weird to hear Swedish if it's the second language? The suit he wore to the interactive play was perfectly arranged for use at any minute, in case there was another real emergency. Baxter hesitated before leaving that be. His fingers grazed the top of the comforter as he passed. He wove through an increasingly intricate disaster area to look for something else that he hadn't made clear to you. It seemed that up until now, Baxter had been living out of his suitcases, which wouldn't ordinarily strike you as a problem until he said he needed at least one of them to be empty. If only so that he could relocate his things from one to the other. He was certain that he'd need no more than the afternoon to pack before you arrived. But there were some things in the world that not even the likes of Baxter Ward could handle with grace and composure. They're very rare. Okay. That's interesting because I feel like the primary language in America is English, but we have like a lot of Spanish speaking people here. So I feel like since Spanish is like overtaking the English language, which I'm completely fine with. One day I'll learn Spanish. My brother's girlfriend knows Spanish because she's Mexican. And I feel like my brother needs to learn Spanish too, but he's not fluent in Spanish. I'm like, why aren't you fluent? He's like, why aren't you fluent in Korean? I'm like, because I don't have someone who's Korean that lives with me who speaks Korean. Your girlfriend lives with you, and she's from Mexico, and her primary language is Spanish. Like, she also speaks English. So I'm like, why aren't you fluent? If my partner spoke a different language, I would 100% try to be fluent in that language. That's just me. That's just me. Mornings were one, personal organization was another. I must apologize. He stopped in place, the corners of his eyes softened as he turned to you, brows knit together, even as he busied his hands with folding a pair of pants, only to immediately throw it into the suitcase. I realize this can't be terribly entertaining. I'm okay. It wasn't really a bother. You'd come of your own volition and knew what he'd be doing while you were here. Besides, if there was trouble, you'd have gone home. He was a worrier. That is one of your charm points. In for a penny, in for a pound. He chuckled, shaking his head with quiet amusement. Content with your reply, he went back to unconsciously constructing a labyrinth of his possessions. You wondered how he fit everything into 2 suitcases to begin with. This entire situation made about as much sense as anything else around him, which was to say that maybe a quarter of it followed any linear train of thought. The rest left much to be desired. Baxter had a tendency to work through things in a sort of circuitous, I don't know how to say that word. Circuitous sense. His own logic that he used to explain things as a matter of fact. As much so that you couldn't help but just take him on his word, even if the details only made themselves clearer later. What was happening now was even more convoluted than normal. The first point, Baxter very suddenly announced he was going on a vacation away from his vacation. A 3-day and 2-night jaunt to a mountain lodge, a handful of hours away by his judgment. Plans were already underway as soon as he figured out where he was staying in California. It made sense if he was going to get more bang for his buck for his experience in the area, but that wasn't the main reason. Second point, it was a family tradition happening without his family. He and his parents always went to the Rockies in the summer, except this time, he was staying in California. Baxter decided to take a trip out to the mountains here regardless. And that was also fine, except he wasn't prepared for the trip at all. You would have thought that someone else planned when and where it happened with the way he was rushing around the condo trying to pack and trying to remember what to pack. And point 3, the most peculiar, he rented a second room in the lodge despite coming here alone and to visit no one in particular. He did have some acquaintances in the state, but none of them were people he wanted to take a trip with. Audaciously, after explaining the situation, he asked you to take up the free room without missing a beat, you, a person who dated him for all half of a second. A couple trip was the kind of thing that was more appropriate for months down the line, something to cement a relationship as steady. But apparently, Being together at all was plenty enough for Baxter. Now that you mentioned Pizza Hut, I kind of want Pizza Hut now. I'm hungry. I want pizza. The weekend was free and your moms were able to accept the idea of you going. Going up to the mountains to stay in the lodge was a cool opportunity. It wasn't the kind of trip you and your family took. Not that you'd taken many trips since your breaks got busier and Liz moved away, so the prospect of traveling anywhere further than the city was exciting. Negotiating with your moms went better than expected. They hadn't vetoed it immediately because you were an adult, but they weren't excited about the idea. It was one thing if you were going on a trip with the usual cast of suspects, but Baxter, a guy you met basically the other day, he was polite and well-spoken. However, your moms didn't know his parents, a rule that you thought was obsolete once you were in high school. But not so when it came to overnight trips. I can't afford pizza. We'll see if Gil can afford pizza. No, we have food that we need to cook. I just realized that. Sorry. No pizza for me. Also, Pizza Hut here is really expensive. They eventually gave their blessing when Liz took your side in the discussion. She was convinced by the fact that you'd be staying in an entirely separate room to him. I've got to ask, what was your plan if I couldn't go? So let me guess. There was buy one, get one deal in the rooms. Having second rooms just because it seemed like a Baxter thing to do. Here too. But you decided to treat yourself. You needed to treat yourself because it was Halloween. And when else are you going to treat yourself but on Halloween? Thanksgiving? Do you guys have Thanksgiving? Making the trip alone would have dissuaded me from going. Baxter's hand stalled over the suitcase he was bringing on the trip. He brushed back his hair into place, turning to his side and searched for another misplaced necessity. They had a Halloween special offer for some kind of black pizza. Was it like squid ink pizza or something? It was made from cocoa powder? They gave you a chocolate pizza? Did it have candy corn on it? Wait, what was on the pizza? What was on the pizza? I need to know what was on this pizza, Pippi Seppi. I thought there was a possibility I might make friends during my stay here. There's no guarantee, of course. I wouldn't hope to make any presumptions there. His gaze wandered, lips tightening at the corners of his mouth involuntarily. His contemplative expression faltered as he looked from his suitcase to you. There's no Thanksgiving here, where you are. I mean, what holidays do you exclusively have in Finland? I would love to know them. Got blue cheese, shrimp, and tuna on a cocoa powder pizza? And your stomach is okay? But I thought that if I did, then would the trip not be made exceptionally better with company? If not, then so be it. Acquiring a room is the difficult part. A reservation needs to be made weeks in advance, whereas canceling one only needs a notice of 48 hours or more. It's taken off the bill, no questions asked. Realistically, I would have only need 2 days to know if I was going alone or with company. That was the case with you, was it not? You're so over the top, you know that? Well, I'm glad they're so accommodating about it. I'd hate for you to lose the deposit. It feels like I should have known. You're certainly an optimist. You couldn't help but shake your head in disbelief. You applauded his stunt. I'm just glad that it's working out. As would I, believe me. Baxter went back to packing, though his suitcase looked to be middling in quantities, more now than they'd been earlier in the evening. It was pretty good. The dough tasted like this one frozen pan pizza brand. You could choose your own and garlic sauce. So you got cocoa powder bread, garlic sauce, and then you got blue cheese, shrimp, and tuna. And you're saying it was pretty good. Brother, I know. No, how is your stomach not dying? Oh. He glanced over his shoulder at you, a black shirt folded in his hands as neatly as any store display you'd seen in your life. This might not be the ideal time to ask, but as we were speaking about the trip, I did want to ask as to where your personal boundaries lie, Princeton. I'm deeply appreciative of your mother's approval, but what I'm comfortable with may not mirror what they are comfortable with. I don't give a fuck what my parents are comfortable with. I'm an adult. You only need to say so if you're in agreement with their preferences, but if not. You took a pic if you want to see. You know what? Send it. I want to see it. Baxter had a tendency to act a lot older than he actually was. It was times like this, when he smirked entirely too mischievously, that they were reminded he was barely any older than you. That you were reminded he was barely any older than you. I may forget by the time we get there. You chuckled to yourself. Yeah, of course he'd add that caveat. Moms were hoping Liz could come along too, so I wouldn't be alone. Girl, why? Why? He didn't look surprised by the suggestion, apparently aware of how it must have and certainly did come off to your parents to invite their youngest on an overnight trip. But she argued I wasn't going out of state and I'm not still a kid. I just have to call Liz every day. I mean call. She won't let me get away with texting. If I don't, she said she'll call the hotel instead and the police and anyone with a phone number to report that Pepe Le Pew was on the loose. Not Pepe Le Pew's on the loose. Yeah, I'm going to Discord now. I'm just... I can't not Pepe Le Pew's on the loose. Baxter snorted, not laughed, full on snorted. He covered his mouth, quickly avoiding your gaze, as he had to resist the urge to laugh harder. You didn't know whether he'd seen the original cartoons or one of the more recent uses of the character, but he definitely got the reference. What in the world? No. 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 Pizza Hut just be doing shit. What's that white stuff on the pizza crust? Is that sugar? I was prepared to give your sister my thanks for convincing your mothers, but it appears everyone has notes on my manner of dress these days. Yeah, Mom joked that those old-fashioned black and white striped jumpsuit and maid swore would match your hair, you know, if Liz did call the police on you. How clever. Is a black and white tie out of vogue, Princeton? You aren't wearing a tie. Trying to suppress the grin was not impossible. Excuse me. Excuse me, why is my voice doing this? Especially after reliving the conversation about his vague resemblance to an aggressively forward skunk and a criminal. Baxter chuckled as he put away another pair of pants, the number on which you'd long lost count of as he went back and forth. Your family's quite charming, and I do agree, that is only fair. Try to keep in touch with them while you're away. I'll trust you care for my fate enough to do that much. For sure, I don't want them to worry. Yeah, it sucks, but I'll call them. Liz wasn't joking. Are you gonna keep in touch with your parents? Girl, don't ask that. You don't need to know. You're on agreement, of course you were gonna call them. You merely shrugged. Yeah, I'll call Liz. You have no idea of some kind of flower? I'm looking at it. It could be salt. It looks like it's either salt or sugar. It doesn't look like flour to me. Do you eat crusts? I feel like crust is usually the best part of the pizza. For me, personally. Please do. The university won't be understanding if I return late due to incarceration. It didn't taste like salt or sugar? Interesting. Okay. The itinerary for the trip was straightforward enough that Baxter didn't need to look at his laptop to read the details. He kept to his work on the suitcases. Check-in wasn't until 4 p.m. at the earliest, and the drive wasn't so significant that you'd be going for as long as you'd feared. Crust is fine, but it's not your favorite part of the pizza. It's my favorite part of the pizza. Especially if you have a really good crust. I hate when people mess up a crust. Because it's like, why? Why would you do that to me? So the plan was to leave at noon, find dinner somewhere in the area when you got there, and then check into the lodge in the evening. The first day would be getting there. The second would be exploring the area in earnest, and the third day would be taking the morning easy before checking out at noon to head back home. Well, home for you, vacation for Baxter. It was perfectly reasonable according to him. What is your favorite part of the pizza? Is it your blue cheese topping? He wouldn't be overextending himself to prepare on either of the big driving days, and you'd have a good amount of time in the lodge. Besides, if he drove that much earlier in the morning, you were pretty confident you'd make it back in one piece. Upon further inspection of Baxter's own supplies, there were a few things left to pack and a few more things you needed to buy. I don't suppose we'll need any formal wear, really. Ah, but on the off chance that we have dinner at a restaurant that necessitated that. I think it'll be okay with that, but I'll see you tomorrow, Baxter. I gotta pack too. Good luck. As you started to make your way out of the master bedroom, his head snapped up. Oh, of course. I'll see you tomorrow, Princeton. Have a good evening. Morning came uneventfully, save the final warning from your family about how they deploy a full-fledged investigation team the minute that something seemed off. You agreed that you would call daily, but it didn't do much to dissuade the endless worrying. Liz didn't pull any punches either, least of all after your family helped you load your things to the back of Baxter's car. You'd say both crust and cheese part at the same time. Have you had the stuffed crust? I don't know if they have this in Finland, but over here in America, they have stuffed crust pizza, and I like a stuffed crust pizza. Maybe it's because I like mozzarella sticks, but stuffed crust pizza, delicious, delicious. Ma and Liz pulled you into a hug, and Ma shut the trunk with a click of finality before she joined in the squeeze. Don't forget that I'm watching him, Princeton. I'll come get you if you need me to. Just say the word. It doesn't matter when, okay? You embraced the hug as they all tugged you in close. Mom planted a kiss each on your cheeks. They were just reminding you because they cared, not because they didn't trust you. But you wouldn't be going anywhere if they didn't let you go. Liz grinned, pulling you into another hug anyway. She squeezed your shoulders. Right? I trust Prince to do his job, but Baxter, you'll be careful with our child, won't you? They have it here too, but it's super expensive. Yeah. Pizza Hut is just expensive by itself. But the stuffed crust, let me see, I could look it up right now. You couldn't see what their faces looked like because of the way that they held you. However, you could hear their apprehension in Baxter's tense laugh. Of course, you have my word, ma'ams. Pizza Hut. A perfectly gentlemanly response from him as always. As you were freed, Baxter made his way to the passenger side. He opened the door for you with a sweep of his arm. Bye. Moms and Liz waved you off, and you slid into the car, shutting the door beside you. I'm just gonna look for pizzas. Cheese pizza. See more. See less. Okay, a regular cheese pizza. Gotta put in my zip code. Mom's and Liz waved you off as you slid into the car, shutting the door behind you. As soon as the seatbelts clicked, the engine roared to life. You reversed out of the driveway and rumbled away from your neighborhood to the freeway. I'm trying to see. Okay. So regular cheese pizza is $13.99 by itself. I'm gonna do $13.99 to euros. $13.99 USD to euros. That's 12 euros and 13. I don't know what your cents are called. Is it just cents? Well, it's 12.13. That's a large, by the way. Original stuffed crust, it adds on $2. Cents? Okay. So it would be, for a large, it would be like 15 euros. That's 14 euros. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's not that expensive. We just don't get Pizza Hut here often. But if I added, like, the toppings that I like, I'm creating my own, by the way. So it's $15.99 now. I get grilled chicken. They don't have spinach, which upsets me. 'Cause I want spinach on my pizza. So I would just get one topping, probably. And change the sauce out. So if I got a large pizza the way I would get it, it's $17.98. $17.98 USD to euros. It's 15 euros and 59 cents. Here normal is 12 euros and 90 cents, and the large is 24 euros and 90 cents for a basic margarita pan pizza. Well, everything's more expensive in Europe, so actually, is that true? The economy is in shambles. Maybe you need to come over here then. Go over here, take a vacation, come visit, come get you a Pizza Hut pizza. I don't know if they're gonna make it the way you want it though. That's the thing. The familiar sight of Sunset Bird eventually gave way to Prism Vista City, then to the open space between here and there. You couldn't smell the salt in the air anymore, and for a moment it felt odd to remember that there weren't beaches everywhere you went, even in the same state. The radio set's classical music gave a nice backtrack to Baxter's storytelling of other trips he'd taken with his parents up to the Rocky Mountains. These memories gave an idea of what to expect when you arrived at the cabin, even though he glazed over some of the details. He even mentioned odder experiences, one of which included getting chased across a river by what he and his family thought was a bear, but turned out to be a particularly chubby dog who wanted to be friends. Oh, a good baby. I feel like everything is more expensive in Finland. I feel like it is. So you said the Switch 2 was 303 euros. Damn, okay. That's pretty cheap. It's like, yeah, that's pretty cheap, because my dad just got me a Switch 2. We will be playing Pokemon on stream. You're hearing it here first. But, and that shit was so expensive. I can't afford it, so my dad got it for me. Because I'm daddy's little princess. Yeah, but that's due to some error on the website. So what was it actually? The route was as smooth as it could be, except for the occasional congestion of traffic. What is this? Hold on, we're gonna have a chat. I'm gonna play the ad and we're just gonna chat for 3 minutes. Normally? Oh my god, without any games? That's so expensive. That's so expensive. Normally it's $5.19. Oh my god, that's almost $600. That's like $2 shy of $600. Without any games. $5.65. Oh my goodness, no. No. My dad would never. He would never. I actually don't know. I'm expecting packages. That's crazy. You would also never? I'm glad you got it for cheap. I'm expecting a package today, actually. I'm expecting a scale. Hoping it gets here soon. Because I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to get in shape. Are you gonna get Pokemon? That's why when you saw it for 303, you were like, go, 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 go. You know what? Makes sense. Makes sense. I'm so glad you got it for cheap. Do you play Pokemon? I feel like I asked you this before. Sorry, my nose bridge is itching. If you heard that noise, that was my glasses and my nails rubbing up against each other. But, do you play Pokemon? No, the new Pokemon doesn't look too fun. Listen, I'm terrified to play the new Pokemon. I've been trying to go without spoilers for like the longest time. But like I've seen some things and I'm still trying to remain spoiler free. I'm mostly spoiler free. We're gonna play it on stream though. I don't know what time, but next week, sometime next week, once it gets here. Your favorite Soul Silver version on DS? I loved Heart Gold Soul Silver on the DS. That game holds a special place in my heart. It was so nostalgic. And I didn't even grow up playing Red, Green, Crystal, and all those. I didn't grow up playing those. And then I told my brother that. He made fun of me. He was like, how is it nostalgic for you? You didn't even grow up playing those games. My brother's such a butt face. And I had, back when you went to GameStop and you got collectibles, I had a Ho-Ho. Is it Ho-Ho or Ho-Oh? It's Ho-Oh. I had a Ho-Oh. And you know what my fucking dog did? He chewed it up. He chewed up my collectible. But he was a puppy back then. And life's different. Life is different. So now I don't have it anymore. But it is what it is. I have a dog, and that's what matters. The ride was as smooth as it could be, except for the occasional congestion of traffic. That was always inevitable this time of year. Baxter wasn't the only tourist. Eventually, the massive freeways came down to 2 lanes as the elevation grew steeper and steeper. Roads cut through canyons, giving a scenic view. You still texted your friends and family between conversations and sightseeing until you lost signal. By the time you hit your first official checkpoint, it was late in the day. You stopped at the roadside diner for a bite to eat before finishing the last leg of the trip. You offered to drive, but Baxter waved it off. It was already enough that you came at all. Making conversation with you also made it a less dull task, so he didn't mind. And maybe it was better that way, since Baxter was renting it. If anything did happen, it'd complicate matters if he wasn't driving. After this short final stretch, the car rolled to a stop at the front of a massive log hotel. It towered over your head when you stepped out of the vehicle. Baxter handed the keys to the attending valet. I don't know why, but I got a commercial for Great Wolf Lodge, and me, thinking something about, log cabins. I kind of want to go back to Great Wolf Lodge, but I don't have a child to go with. Because I feel like it would just be weird if I went to Great Wolf Lodge by myself. So I need to bring, a child. I don't know if I'm allowed to share this, so I won't. But I need a child. It's a family thing that I'm not sure if I could share it or not. I'll ask, and I can talk all about it. I'm not gonna show anything though, but I'm excited about it. But I just need a child. The lodge was somehow both rustic and fancy at the same time. For an oversized wooden cabin, the doors had big, elaborate wrought handles that you were sure must have cost a pretty penny. It appears that we have arrived. What do you mean it appears we have arrived? You literally just handed your shit over to the valet. Shut up, Baxter. Baxter ran to his side of the car with bags in hand, smiling comfortingly as you stood there empty-handed and staring at the building. How snazzy. You sure you can find a bunch of those on the streets? I'm not gonna just take a random child. I need to know this child. This child needs to be comfortable with me. That's so creepy. I don't want to be weird. Also, I don't want to be with some random child. Sometimes children are little demons. You gotta have the right child, a family member, because then you can reprimand them. But because I know my family, the way my family would reprimand a child is different than how I would reprimand a child. I'm not about to just beat that child senseless. No. I'm gonna talk to them like a human. I don't know why this came to child rearing, but I just wanted to go to Great Wolf Lodge. That's it. I just want to go. You didn't expect Baxter to laugh at what you said. It was a pretty apt description of the place, but he shook his head demurely. I wasn't aware anyone still used that word. Amazing. What word? You both carried your things into the lobby. You hadn't brought enough with you that you need to make a second trip. And after all that consternation in his bedroom, Baxter had managed to shave everything he needed down to one bag and a suitcase. The lobby was as big as the front of the building suggested. This is giving Great Wolf Lodge. It's giving Great Wolf Lodge. Light piano music tinkled in the background. An untraditional chandelier hung from the ceiling, sunlight shining through the glass doors, reflecting on the carefully cut stonework. The fireplace burned in the far end of the lobby, for whom you could only presume to be guests, but despite all the chairs and couches available for them, there was scarcely a soul. It wasn't cozy, not in the way that you'd expect it to be, given Baxter only described it as a mountain lodge. It was big and impressive, even the stairwell seemed more fitting for a medieval castle than a homey cabin in the woods. To one side, the front desk was occupied by staff who were busy with helping with a large party. We may be waiting a while. Why don't we set these down? He tugged at the strap of this cross-body bag he had over his shoulder, and lifted the suitcase in his hand, gesturing for you to follow the nearest open seating area, which was all of them. Footsteps echoed in the cavernous room, and when your bags hit the ground, the sound of that did too. Baxter dropped and set his bag in one of the chairs that was sitting. He'd been stuck in the car for so long. He didn't make a point of stretching his legs, though, ostensibly because it would have looked overly casual for a man such as him. So, now that you've gotten a look, what's your opinion on our temporary abode? It's incredible. I couldn't have imagined it'd be like this. I think it's a little overdone. Honestly, I feel out of place here. It sure isn't summer anymore, he joked. It's nice, you shrugged in reply. It sure isn't summer anymore. It feels like more like fall or winter not that we've ever either know where are these words coming from. Not that we ever get either in Southern California. There we go. It does give the distinct cool weather impression, doesn't it? He turned his attention to the front desk, though the situation hadn't improved at all. There were no signs of it clearing up now or in the near future. Princeton, would you mind if I made a phone call? I am considering making a call to my mother. I do not often keep my parents appraised of my day-to-day life, but I do believe they will be good to know I arrived at the secondary location. His gaze dropped to the floor as his hand idly sneaked into his pocket to fish out his phone. His formerly polite smile became crooked. I am not so bad a son that I cannot grant them that. Sure, go ahead. Thank you. It won't be more than a few minutes. And I'll have a chance to finally mention the lovely individual accompanying me. You haven't told your parents that we're dating yet? Crazy work. His seasoning wasn't something to be missed, but it warmed your heart to know that Baxter considered your relationship meaningful enough to be mentioned even in passing to his parents. Officially withdrawing his phone, Baxter promptly brought it up its contacts and made the call. A hand rested on his hip while the other hand held the device's ear. His head craned back toward the high ceiling as he waited the dial tone before a voice, too soft for you to hear but loud enough for you to register, greeted Baxter. Hello, Mother. It's nice to speak with you. We've arrived at the hotel. The drive went well. He glanced over his shoulder at you before lightly pressing his index finger to his lips as if to hush you before you could think of saying something. Baxter, you're so corny. You couldn't help but wonder if she caught onto the we, considering Baxter came to the state alone in the first place. Yes, I have Princeton with me, my neighbor here. Oh? We're just neighbors? Okay. Bet. We're just neighbors. Of course, that is the greatest understatement of our relationship. He is quite special. Hi, Mrs. Ward, you shouted. I'm doing that. I'm obnoxious. His soft brown eyes lit up with a new warmth, having not expected you to take interest. Princeton says hello, Mother. He nodded as he said something in response to him. He nodded as she said something in response to him. However, his attention didn't move from you. As the conversation continued on her end, he lightly covered his phone with his hand. She says hello too, Princeton. He smirked with his mother while his mother continued on in his silence. You weren't sure that he was listening enough to have caught what she said. That was the closest proximity you'd ever gotten to the vague concept that was Baxter's parents. And it was such a small thing, watching as he spoke to one of them over the phone. It felt so radically different than it did with your other friends. You knew Kyra and Mr. Holden, just like you knew Derek, Randy, and Terry's parents. All you'd heard about Baxter's parents, other than that they were educated and old-fashioned, was that they didn't mind sending Baxter off to Sunsetburg for the summer. They wouldn't see him this season, and so you wouldn't see them. You had to wonder if someday you'd get the chance to meet them or speak to them directly. It didn't seem like a priority for Baxter. I don't know why I'm having such difficulty reading. You were only dating for a little while though, so maybe it was enough to let them know that you existed in the first place. After another few hmms and yeses, Baxter's attention shifted to the front desk, which was slowly vacated by the previous group. Ah, Mother, this was lovely, but I do have to take my leave. Take care.
Oh, yeah.
You too. And with only a brief goodbye, you hung up and pocketed his phone. He turned toward you, picking up his bag and suitcase. Shall we go and check in? Yeah. You trailed after him with your own luggage. The hotel receptionist smiled from behind a wide counter, her eyes somewhat weary from the day's work. You could relate to the exhaustion of dealing with a large mass of needy people and sent a silent wish that the rest of her day would be uneventful. Good evening. The receptionist nodded, offering her own greeting in reply before asking if you were both checking in. Exactly, and I would appreciate your assistance in doing so. Reservation should be for 2 rooms under Baxter Ward. Handing over his driver's license and credit card, the receptionist made quick work of their computer system and slid 2 pairs of plastic cards through a machine. You were going to room 194, and Baxter was going to the room next to you, 193. She picked up a map and drew a few arrows and lines. You were directed to take a left and head up the elevator to take the stairs to the 2nd floor. With keys and maps handed off, you and Baxter departed from the front desk. So, did you want to take the elevator or stairs? You realized Baxter didn't immediately follow. You turned back to him as he caught up. Gesturing for you to wait, he dug out one of his key cards and offered it to you. Elevator. Here. It may not be necessary, but I would be happy to let you have it in case. Sure, thanks, I'll take it. Thanks, Baxter, but I don't think I'll use it. You accepted the room key wordlessly. You give your hand in dismissal. Sure, thanks, I'll take it. You know what? Let's exchange cards. Baxter gratefully took your card in hand, pleased to have your good faith in the matter. The executive decision was made to take the elevator up to the next floor, given all the bags. Truthfully, with only a night's worth of clothes and supplies, they weren't that heavy. What was more, it was only a floor up, but they'd installed an elevator for a reason, hadn't they? It'd be a shame not to put their hard work to use. The halls of the hotel were wide. It was easy enough for 2 people to pass through beside each other, though you and Baxter had to sidestep to make room for others occasionally. As you approached the end of the path where your rooms sat beside one another, Baxter withdrew his key card and held it against the digital lock with a fluid practice motion. Would it be alright if we were to meet later this evening? It was a long drive, and I, at least, am in no rush to hurry off to the next activity. You waved your hand to dispel any concerns both real and imagined. Sure, that's fine. I'll see you soon. Excellent. Take care, neighbor. He winked, looking as if laughing as he disappeared inside of a room and shut the door with a click. Tapping your card against the lock, you followed suit. In comparison to the hotel foyer, the room was cozier, not by much, but it was much less grand in scale. Oh, this is a nice room. One wall was laid precisely with wooden planks, and as the center of the room, the headboard of the single king-size bed was situated by some nondescript painting. It didn't seem cramped, in part because of the glass door that led out onto a balcony, and because of the nearby windows, which meant more light came into the room. It was bright even without the lamps on. In the breeze of the quiet evening up in the mountains, the branches waved to say hello. Setting down your stuff, you started unpacking toiletries and clothes before searching for a plug at the nightstand for your phone charger. As you unpacked and the sun rays slipped further out of the room, it occurred to you that you also owed a call to your loved ones. A promise was a promise. You meant to call her earlier when you were checking in, but it slipped your mind in between everything. Liz was still waiting. It didn't take more than a couple of clicks through your contacts to pull up Liz's number. She'd been one of the last people you were texting on your way up before the signal cut out in the first place. The phone rang for a second before your sister's voice came through the other line. There was an exaggeration to her tone, a sense of suspicion. Princeton? This better be you and not some impersonator. I'm on to you, Ward, if that is in fact your real name. Liz, how am I supposed to even prove that? Just excuse? So this is what I get for calling? Come on, Liz, you know it's really me. Baxter wouldn't do that. Don't worry, Elizabeth, it's Princeton for sure. he said in a silly voice. Liz just snorted. It was clear as it would have sounded in person. Look, if you're going to try and pull my leg, you gotta do a better job of it, Princeton. Oh, whatever you mean, my fair Elizabeth. That? How would the imposter even know my name is Elizabeth? It would have been Eliza for all that Baxter knows. Well, she got you there. Maybe I told him on the ride here. You don't know that. A real imposter would have been smart enough to talk to me like normal. Alright, you won. It's me. Wow, I could have never guessed. Yeah, laugh it up, Liz. And she did, loudly. Louder than that snort. It'd be no surprise if Baxter could hear her from the other room. Moving on. I'm glad you got there safe and sound enough that you're keeping up with me. I still don't know about that Baxter guy. He's too formal and stiff for someone younger than me. But I guess he got you there in one piece. How's the lodge? The beach day was like a million miles away. It feels like I stepped out of the wardrobe into a brand new world. A grand new world. But there's no magic. Wow. Do you like it? It's comfortable. Notice just to listen with intensity of someone still handling interrogation. This'll do. Just make sure to have some fun for the rest of us, alright? Take pictures! Mom's already started asking why you haven't sent any. They want to see the inside of a car? That's what I said. The conversation trailed on longer, Liz weighing in on the speakerphone with what had been going on at home since you left. She mentioned that Cove stopped by at some point to drop something off for Ms. Dad and told her to tell you that he said hi. Eventually, Liz tapered off, and at the mention of her own sleepiness, she helpfully reminded you to go and get some rest before adding that you need to call her again tomorrow. The phone promptly tossed aside in favor of preparing for the night. Then a gentle knock came at your door. Baxter, presumably. Baxter correctly, as he was the only person standing there in the doorway once you opened it. Hi, come in. Bowing his head as he stepped inside, he offered a thanks for being quick with the invitation instead of making him stand in the hallway. You came right on time. I just wrapped up with Liz. How lovely. I'm sure that she was relieved to have heard you alive and well. The curve of Baxter's smile widened while he took a look around your room. It couldn't be all that different from his own, but he regarded it as though it was. It appears that you've settled in quite nicely. It's late, so I won't keep you, but I did want to discuss our plans for tomorrow. Are we not going to eat food? Did we not get food? Feel free to enjoy yourself in the morning without worrying about accommodating me. It should be easy to explore the town if you want, but the lodge has amenities you could also try if you're interested. There's a gym around, I believe, along with a pool and a complimentary breakfast if you're up early enough for it. As for the afternoon, evening, and night, I'd be pleased if we could spend it together. Oh, together, you say? Yeah, that sounds good. I'll meet up with you later. Baxter didn't do early mornings or mornings in general. It was no skin off your bones to let him sleep in, especially considering that this was supposed to be a vacation. Well, it was always a vacation for Baxter, but the rationale held. He was always so considerate of you that it stood to reason to do the same for him. He nervously ran a hand through his hair for a semblance of his Baxter wore patented confidence returned to his features. I thank you for your consideration. As for what we'll do tomorrow, how would you feel about a hike? There's a lovely trail that starts directly from here. It loops around the forest at the back, then returns us where we started. It's a bit of a longer path, so we could pack a lunch with us to take on the way. I can have it ordered and delivered ahead of time. You know what? Sure. But let's read all of this. You loved hiking. You were so moved. So you were more than on board with the plan. Hiking could be good, especially with the prospect of seeing some nice scenery. You didn't mind the suggestion. You were already out here after all. You didn't want to go, but you didn't want to be a downer on this trip. You weren't sure about going on a hike that long. You were open to trying. Going on a hike with Baxter sounded pretty entertaining. I would pick this option, but I'm going to pick the second option. Let's do it. He smiled graciously. Baxter had his heart set on that outing. Clearly, you made his day by joining the adventure. I'll look forward to it then. With that, Baxter took his leave after offering a quiet good night. There were a few hours left before you had to be in bed, so you settled in for the first night of what continued to be this surreal experience. It was spent peacefully, and then you were drifting into an equally gentle dream. The sun peeked through the sheer curtains the first part of the day to greet you as you woke up in the sprawling bed that wasn't yours. I thought there was snow outside at first. The early bird catches the worm. It's time to get up. Maybe a few more minutes. Nothing urgent was happening, right? Your eyes hadn't even opened. Getting up early was for morning people. You know what? A few more minutes won't hurt. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, probably more passed before you considered leaving the safety of the sheets. Once you managed to unearth yourself from the blanket to wake up a bit, you went through the morning routine and considered the possibilities for the time that had remained. Baxter wouldn't be up with you until around the afternoon. Your growling stomach made the decision for you. First thing on your agenda was getting breakfast. By the time your hunger was sated, Baxter hadn't contacted you. You headed back to your hotel room for some downtime. You wandered the hotel to see the entire building. You searched for the hotel's gym. You went to find where the pool was. You left the hotel and went to see what was nearby. Let's search the hotel's building. Even when you started approaching the hotel yesterday, there was no easy way to fully take in the sight of it. The Mountain Lodge was imposing. This might be very well your only chance to see it. Strolling through the premises, you managed to find cool lounges, some you couldn't go into, and a modern laundry room with machines that sang and didn't take coins. There were even some gardens outside. Moms were quick to wonder how they were maintained in the winter when you went over the photos. Meanwhile, Liz negotiated the possibility of the family buying her said singing washer and dryer for her apartment. By the time 11 rolled around, your phone hummed with a new text from Baxter. It was formally worded as ever. Good afternoon, Princeton. I will be ready for our hike shortly. I hope the amenities were to your liking. It was nice. See you soon. Wonderful. I've always enjoyed how responsive you are. I'll be ordering lunch in the interim. I thought sandwiches might suit our activities for the day. It should be easy to bring along and fine to eat cold. I would advise straying away from the paninis for that reason. I'll send along the menu shortly. Let me know what you'd prefer. I don't want a cold sandwich. Who do you think I am, Baxter? I like my sandwiches hot. As promised, Baxter attached a perfectly formatted PDF with said options, which seemed increasingly more complex the lower you scrolled down the menu. There were options for next to everything. What bread, what fillings, what cheeses, what spreads. It was enough to make you forget what was available in the category as soon as you moved from one section to another. But you hastily made your decision with the seconds still ticking by and texted your order to Baxter, who replied with a blushy, smiling emoji. Okay, weirdo. An excellent choice. I'll be waiting in the lobby for the delivery then. Make your way down there as soon as you are able. Take care. After sending off the last text, you tucked your phone away and hurried to your room. Good shoes were a must when it came to hikes, along with a full water bottle. With the weather and time of the day being what it was, you hoped you might catch the last drugs of the cool morning air before the afternoon really set in. Once you were satisfied you had everything that you need, you returned to the front of the hotel. The lobby was as cavernously vacant as ever. So it wasn't hard to find the back of the distinct head of black and white hair near the fireplace with a bag of what were potentially sandwiches. Yet you were certain it wasn't Baxter. It couldn't have been. Sure, his shoes were black, the pants were dark gray. He had a gray bag too, which all erred to the side of monochromatic. The shirt, his shirt. Okay. That man was wearing khaki. Adventure! It was as if he'd found a cryptid in the flesh. You never thought you'd see the day where Baxter was wearing a color that was wearing any color at all. Of course, you knew it wasn't actually a stranger with the same unique hairstyle and his body type, but it was hard not to joke about it. Baxter turned at the sound of your footsteps. Ah, Princeton. He grinned, jaw tense. Baxter probably would have been more comfortable trotting around the lobby in nothing more than his presumably black and white underwear. He was the guy that described skinny dipping as invigorating after all. Hi, do you need to change? Beige wasn't as shell-shocking as something that was, say, a highlighter yellow, but on Baxter, it might as well have been. He took a deep breath, a very deep breath, with his eyes closed and his hand unintentionally tightening its grip around the bag. His answer finally came out in the same exhale. I only brought one shirt that was suitable for our hike with me on this trip. I'd been certain I wouldn't need more than that. He looked away, a hand brushing through his hair again as he worked to find the words. Well, not like I'm bullying him. After you left, I found this among my things. Oh, what'd you find? Baxter grimaced. He looked at the errant shirt as if he'd been hit with a splash from a mud puddle. And regrettably, I did not find anything else. This is the shirt I brought for outdoor activities. The fates would have it that I only found out when there was no time to run out and get a replacement, thus leaving me with a few remaining options: a formal button-down, one of my designer tops, silk pajamas, or... He gestured to the khaki shirt with both finality and defeat. So you own it? Baxter shook his head emphatically. The light in his eyes betrayed his expression with some delight that at least you found his misfortune entertaining enough to prod at. No, I suppose I must have accidentally stolen it from a roommate. I don't know who else would own a khaki button-down other than that prep. Oh, now I'm calling him a prep. My memories of the final pack at dawn before I set out to California are hazy to say the least. I had believed at the time that I took a pale gray sturdy cotton shirt for occasions like this. The low lighting in my waning focus in the moment betrayed me. Of course, warning Baxter struck again, sighing as he straightened his thieved attire. If he was going to be unpresentable, it should at least be decently so. The sandwich bag fell against his hip as his eyes met yours. I must ask that you keep this a secret, Princeton. Your secret's safe with me, Baw. Sure, just know I'll be saving this info as blackmail. You shrugged non-committedly in reply. No, it's not that bad. You look great. Man, beige really isn't your color, huh? Relating to the theft, it's not that bad. You look great. His eyes widened as a sudden compliment. Oh, well, I can't say I expected that. I never expected this either, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a pleasant surprise. As is your reaction, Princeton? As unhappy with his predicament as he was, there was something undeniably sweet about the fact he hurried to make it at the risk of keeping you waiting. The collar of his shirt was crumpled and parts of it were wrinkled, likely from the hasty packing after he finally discovered the horrible mistake. The latter couldn't be fixed without an iron, but at least the collar could be smoothed over. You reached out instinctively to fix it, incidentally brushing gently against the side of his neck as you straightened out the crease. Oh, not him doing a deep blush. Pale skin flushed with sudden warmth, pinking at your fingertips as your fingertips fell against the hollow of his throat. His Adam's apple bobbed, his breath hitching in his throat. His embarrassment managed to ease into laughter. Baxter covered his mouth to stifle the giggles that echoed through the empty foyer. Where did I get it? I'm so tired. You tried your best to keep from cackling any more than you already did at this poor beige-influenced expense. Well, regardless of what color I may be wearing, we should still be able to continue our plans. It isn't as though anyone will see me in public like this. Who will the trees tell? It really isn't as bad as you think. There's nothing wrong with being off-theme sometimes. En contraire, tell that to my poor suffering ego. Here's a tradition wasted. Shaking your head, you adjusted the straps of your bag on your shoulders. Okay, if you're done. Baxter gave a world-weary glance as if to say he was already greatly limiting how much he could have gone about it. We can head on out. Let's. He packed away the sandwiches into a bigger, properly gray bag, truly ending his lament about the state of his attire. Once he was certain the food was not liable to be flattened, Baxter gestured for you to follow him out of the hotel and onto the nearby trail behind the building. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm gonna save. You know what I forgot to do? Welcome everyone. I forgot to put the thing up here. That's what I forgot to do. Welcome in everyone. I hope you all are doing well today. I'm doing okay-ish. I could be better. My uterus hurts. We're gonna continue playing our life beginnings and always Baxter's DLC. We were gonna play a different game today, but it was being weird. So I don't know. It just was not showing up in OBS. So we're just gonna continue the DLC. I hope that's okay with you guys, because it's okay with me. The path initially was paved and clearly marked. As you continued at a leisurely pace, it eventually narrowed into a larger swath of evergreen trees and beaten ground. Oh, if you don't remember what happened, last time we played this, because technically last time we played this also I played a different game and I wasn't feeling that game, so we switched. So what happened was Baxter invited us to the mountains and now we're going on a picnic. That's literally all that happened. Oh, we talked to his mom. Well, we didn't talk to his mom, but he talked to his mom and we were like, hey mom. And yeah, that's all that happened. The mountain air was sharper than the sea breeze you were so used to. Instead of salt, you could smell pine in between the wafts of liberally applied sunscreen. I love pine. Pine is such a good smell. It reminds me of the Rugrats fruit snacks from back in my youth. That's what pine smells like to me. I don't like the taste of pine. I had a pine candy. That shit was gross as fuck. But the smell of it, delicious. With a pleasant breeze and the coolness drawn from the stream, the weather was more than ideal for a hike. Tree boughs provided cover too, hiding you both from the high afternoon sun. Foliage rustled at your feet as your shoes kicked up the fallen turf. The path wasn't big enough for you to walk side by side, so Baxter took the front. After some prolonged silence, he spoke up. I'm glad that this trail matches what I saw online. It seemed like an easy hike as it lacks steep inclines. The path ahead is clear. Yeah, it's nice so far. Oh, that's too bad. A more invigorating travel would have been great. No, it wouldn't have. Don't lie. Don't lie to this man. Voicemail box full. Oh no. Who's sending me voicemails? Don't do that. What a relief. I was worried we were going to pick something harder. That's not really a hike, it's more of a scenic stroll. You're not happy for an easy trail. You sighed, disappointed. It was more, I'm happy for an easy trail. He smiled in turn, proud to have made the right choice. You're looking pretty comfortable on the trail. Do you hike a lot? He turned his gaze up to the tree canopy, considering the question for a moment as leaves crunched underfoot and the path slopped uphill. I don't go often, but I am quite used to it, if that's the question. I'm not sure if I'd consider it among my personal hobbies, but I'm not adverse to it. I welcome the opportunity, in fact, when it is available. That makes a lot of sense if you've got a hiking shirt and everything. That's a shock. Are you sure you're really Baxter? You sound teasingly. You said teasingly. Where did I get sound? Me too. It's cool that we have that in common. I honestly wouldn't have figured that. He gave him a supportive thumbs up in reply. You know what? That makes sense. Even if you accidentally left it behind. Baxter hummed along, content that you understood where he was coming from. Though, I would not call myself a mountaineer proper. He chuckled, stopping in place at a partial ascent. Baxter glanced over his shoulder at you and watched for any signs of difficulty with your footing. I may be fit to impress on a day hike similar to this, but I know some people who would truly call themselves wilderness aficionados. The types that you could see in reality survival show, I'd wager, in Alaskan wilds fighting a bear for salmon. You paint such a beautiful picture with your words. Thank you. I'm speaking of the Murrays, the parents and their two teens who would regularly go on backpacking trips that would last days and they'd sleep outside in the middle of the woods. Are we gonna meet the Murrays in the new game? What's more, they enjoyed rappelling down cliff sides. Certainly they had safety gear, but I can't fathom willingly going to such degrees. Or rather, it might be more apt to say that I can't imagine surviving them. Baxter continued on about some of the Murray's exploits and a little of his own reservations about anything else under the sun, including scuba diving. Hold on, was that redhead kid a Murray? I'm trying to remember the Murrays. I think so. His mom was our teacher. Though you had plenty to say about that between Mr. Holden's entire business and living so close to the ocean, but it wasn't long before you decided to stop for lunch. It already been a few hours since you had breakfast, and Baxter hadn't eaten anything yet for the day. There weren't picnic tables along the path, so the task fell to you to find somewhere to take a break. Why did it fall to me? It happened to be the case that you saw a nice and sunny spot with some nice flat rocks first. How about we take a lunch break over there? Following your raised arm, Baxter eventually nodded in agreement. The two of you headed over to the stones and shrugged off your packs. After digging through the bag's contents, he produced the 2 sandwiches and handed over yours. The sound of crinkling beeswax paper unwrapping announced the start of lunch. My family went to the Redwoods when I was a kid. Have you been? Baxter shook his head, taking another bite of his meal as he bid you to continue. We went on an RV with the Holdens and had sandwiches then too, but a bird stole Mr. Holden's and he chased after the bird like it was his last meal. Really now? Ma tried to tell him that we had literally 1,000 ingredients to make more, but he was so sure he could get it, so he kept chasing after it, and story trailed on longer than you intended, but Baxter was interested every step of the way. While stuffing your face, keeping up a conversation fell off the list of priorities. Baxter followed your lead and dedicated himself to his own sandwich. Real silence was avoided thanks to the delightful world around you. The rustle of leaves, the bubbling of water, even a small songbird flitted by overhead before landing on a nearby branch. It seemed to stare directly at you and chirped. Oh, don't do that. It was so picturesque that it belonged on a postcard. For the mundane activity of eating lunch, it was almost too much. Could one be overly serene? Can we really here? Why are you and I eating sandwiches on the middle of a mountain? That's a great question. Thanks for letting me come here with you. I'm really glad we're here. This is kind of weird, right? You suddenly reflected on what had happened. Why are we eating sandwiches on the mountain? On a mountain. Baxter Shore didn't finish chewing the final bite. What's life without some variety? Then he wiped his fingers on paper napkin. He had been certain to pack those. Welcome in, Pippiseppi. How are you doing today? But yes, this is going a bit far, even for me. Yet, I believe that's what makes it enjoyable. Perhaps I'm being fanciful, but this feels almost dreamlike. Huh? You understood where he was coming from. Up on this mountain, your everyday life felt so far away. It was far away. You traveled for miles to be here. This time you both were far from home and in the middle of the unfamiliar. It was nature's domain, untamed in a different way than your experiences with the ocean. You're doing quite dandy as always, been enjoying the new anime you discovered last night. What anime is that? Have you seen the show? It's on Peacock. It's not an anime. It's called All Her Fault. It was pretty good. Pissed me off a bit, but I like the ending of it. I did enjoy the ending of it. They had finished bacon wrapped mushrooms filled with cheese, so you were hooked. Finnish bacon wrapped mushrooms. What makes it Finnish? You're not familiar with that one? It's a show, like an actual show. Like I said, it's on Peacock. I don't know if you have Peacock. Solo Camping for Two is the name of the anime. Solo Camping for Two. I need to look that up. I'm gonna look that up right now. I've been looking, Pokopia. I don't know how to say it, but Solo Camping for Two. Oh, it's a manga series. Oh, this looks cute. But is it? Because this image I'm seeing, she looks nervous. About Gin, or is it Jin? I think it's Jin. Jin Kinokura, a man who loves solo camping in Shizuku Kusano, a beginner who accidentally joins him. The story follows their adventures as Jin reluctantly teaches Shizuku about camping, leading to humorous and heartwarming moments. The series is known for its slice of life feel, camping tips, recipes, and has adapted into an anime. Okay. They better not be doing nothing naughty in there. You know, but it said it was Finnish, so you know what? Love that for you. Love that you got some culture, some of your culture in there. But yeah, the game Pokopia got announced today, and it comes out March 5th. And if you pre-order it, you get a Ditto rug. And I kind of want that rug, but that game is $70. And you know who has $70? It's not me. That's why I asked you if you know who has $70. A real rug? No. It's an in-game rug. Imagine getting a free rug that's probably worth $70. I was on the Pokemon Center site today, just looking at stuff. And it's so expensive. But it's okay. I'm not getting anything off the site, but still. Sometimes you have to look at things. But yeah, it's an in-game rug. And I kind of want to get it, but it's not worth it. I can't afford it right now anyway. I know what you mean. Baxter reached out and grabbed a leaf from the ground, twirling it around with his fingers. Exactly. As you worked on finishing your own lunch, a heavy weight dropped on your shoulder. What's on my shoulder? After a beat, you realized it was just Baxter leaning on you. Oh, okay. Apparently having finished lunch and making himself comfortable. His eyes were closed, dark lashes especially apparent against his cheekbones, and his lips parting softly with quiet breaths. They released more info about the new Mario movie too. I still haven't seen the first one, and I refuse to see the first one. Have you seen the first Mario movie? For a second you wondered if he fell asleep again, until he spoke up, as if already aware of the fact that you wanted to ask. This is nice. Why not? Oh, because I hate Seth Rogen. I hate him with a passion. You liked it? Maybe I'll watch it in a different language. That way I don't have to listen to Seth Rogen's voice. I don't know if they offer it like that though. I think they just offer it in like different subtitles. I'll have to look. Who's Seth? He's Donkey Kong. Cancel, stop. No. There's also some other games that I want, but they're $60. I can't afford any of the games that I want. What was I looking up? Oh, Mario movie. Mario movie. Streaming. Amazon Prime. Okay, I could watch it on Amazon Prime, but will I? No. Games be real expensive. They do. They're so expensive. Why are they so expensive? Remember when games were like $20, $30? I remember when games were $40 max. When I would go into GameStop with my dad and my brother, and games would be $40 max, and my dad was like, this is super expensive, you only get one game. And I'd walk out with like 3 games anyway, because my dad loves me. Because I'm spoiled. They weren't all $40 though. They were like differently priced games. One was like $40, and the other was like $20 or like $10. You found a used Donkey Kong Bonanza for like €50 with shipping. Hey, hold on, didn't that game just come out? How do you find it used already? Oh, hold on, I didn't read that. Anyway, that's okay, we don't need to read it. Yeah, it is. He closed his eyes again. He closed his eye again, sorry. He has one eye. This time burying his cheek a little closer into the hollow between your shoulder and your head. Are you tired? Baxter considered the suggestion for a second, then nodded slowly against your shoulder. It's a few months old now? Yeah, did they not like that game that much where they were just like, okay, I'm done with it? I usually keep all of my games. If it'll let me stay a while, yes. Alright. Well, he said to thank you himself. You know, the forest that I grew up with had a different foliage. At least 60% of the plants growing here only exist in this climate. Oh really? Is that true? That doesn't sound real. No way, how interesting. You listened without saying anything. Oh really? How did Baxter happen to have that fact memorized? Maybe he'd studied before this trip? Although with him, it's not outside the realm of possibility that he knew beforehand just cuz. Some people sell them after they're done with them, I guess. Could never be me. Could never be me. You like to keep yours as well. Now you're hunting for a Switch 2 Pro controller. Why do you want a Pro controller? You know how expensive? They're more expensive than the games. Don't want to pay €90 for that? Yeah, the ones that I see are like $80. I don't know how I don't know how or why. Why are they so expensive? That doesn't make sense to me. Baxter's expression twitched. If that wasn't suspicious, then at least 60% of your observational power was wrong. Under your scrutiny, he shrugged and finally answered your question. Oh. Then turn on your Switch too? They turn on your Switch too? You can't do that with the old controllers? You can't? I guess, I suppose. I do have a Pro controller in my wish list, and then I have, what's it called? Not a skin, but like a case for it. Cause I wanna be, excuse me, I wanna be cute. I wanna be cute. I already put, a case on my Switch 2 already, and it's really cute, and then I put stickers on my dock. Cause I'm a child. He grinned like the Cheshire cat, self-satisfied and smug. His eyes glittered with amusement. I entirely made that up off the top of my head. Although, since I know truly nothing about California wildlife, it may reflect reality after all. Probably not, but I can't rule it out completely. Is there a pic? Yeah, I do have pictures, actually. I can put them in the Discord. You laughed at his nonsense. He was so blunt about it. At your mirth, his grin grew wider, and he regaled you with other fake nature facts. I put a sticker over the Nintendo sign on the back of the dock. Hold on, my screen's dirty. Actually, you know what? I'll post it after stream, because I want to get a better picture of the front of the Switch. Because it's me in the picture. I'm like, I don't want me in the picture. You didn't even open yours from the box until the weekend? Or you did, but you put it back soon after? Yeah, I need to get a screen protector, because I know for a fact I'm going to drop mine at some point. Because I'm so clumsy. I just drop shit. It's not even I don't drop anything on purpose. I'm just very clumsy. And the screen protector will be here, what's today? Wednesday? It'll be here tomorrow. So, hopefully I can get that on my Switch too. We played, Pokemon Legends ZA. We played it. I lost. Like, the first real battle. First battle that really matters. I lost it. And so I stopped playing. I'll be playing it again on Saturday. How was it? Any good? Fun? It's stressful for me. I don't hate it. I think I'm getting used to it now. Like, I know what I need to do. I was expecting just to go into it and be like, yeah, I'm a boss. But no. No. I was not a boss. I was a joke, actually. He spoke about the California mountain hare, the only North American rodent that ate a large diet of bees and was entirely made up by a man who normally dressed in monochrome. But the meal was over by that point, and you did have a trek ahead before you could return to the hotel. Baxter separated himself from your shoulder, perky as ever. Trash and scraps were thrown into a delivery bag. Baxter stuffed it into his normal bag. Leave no trace. Yep, looks like we got everything. With everything stowed away, the two of you slid off the rock and joined the path. Both you and Baxter were fully recharged from the lunch break. You continued the hike steadily, keeping a good pace. Without warning, Baxter rooted himself in the middle of the path. Oh, look at that. He jerked his head and you followed his gaze. Further out on his side of the trail was a stream, flowing swiftly. But you immediately knew what part of the scene caught his attention. Laying across the banks, a tree had fallen to create a natural bridge. You stepped around him to get a better vantage point. The trunk had to be 3 feet thick and covered in vibrant green moss. Leaves had long fallen from the view before... What? Leaves had long fallen from the view, remaining... Oh my god. Leaves had long fallen from the few remaining branches. Why am I struggling? Baxter's bright eyes stayed on it, and he grinned all the while. 1 minute, please. I need to walk across that. It's too perfect to simply pass on by. He took a large step and promptly left the path. A twig snapped. Wait, what? Oh my god, you laughed at his plan. You shouldn't leave the trail. You guys ordered that too? I mean, let's go, I guess. Then follow me. Let's proceed on our virtuous adventure. Fortuitous? I like the way I said it the first time. Reading is hard. Reading is hard, Pippi. You're so right. Reading used to be so easy. Reading used to be so easy for me. I don't know what happened. Now I can't read. He slowed down so he could... Why am I doing that voice? He slowed down so he could catch up. He led the way to the stream, warning you of the various obstacles he dodged on the forest floor. Finally, he skipped over some stones, then squeezed himself between a group of thick bushes. His efforts were surprisingly graceful. You clambered on the rocks behind him and took a moment to assess the bushes yourself. Going all the way around would be a hassle. There was a small gap under one of the bushes, but unless you were prepared to crawl, you didn't think you'd fit. You followed Baxter's path, lightly bending a few branches out of your way. You got through it without any scratches. Now, through the gauntlet, catching up with Baxter was easy. This close to the stream bank, it was mostly more stones and short grasses. These words, they're tripping me up. Baxter solidly placed a foot on the trunk suspended over it. He tested his weight, then rocked his heel to shake the bridge. The tree gave no sign of giving under pressure. No matter what he did, it wasn't budging. Excellent indeed. The safety check complete, he gingerly lifted his foot and stood fully on the collapsed trunk. Even if it was stuck, the wood had to be slick. Wet and round weren't an ideal combination. Your forehead crinkled. Baxter showed no concern for that and walked further along, an inch at a time, until he was above the water. One wrong move and he'd be in the river. I'm gonna climb on carefully. First you sat down, then pulled up your feet. The damp bark was unpleasant, especially on your knees as you first crouched. However, when you stood up, the tree stayed firm. You breathed a sigh of relief. He went across the stream with his arms out in light steps, heel, toe, heel, toe. It was almost like he was floating on air, his movement smooth and assured. You weren't having any trouble either. You shimmied along after Baxter with confidence. The tree was more scared of you than you were of it. When the moss grew thick over the trunk, it squished underneath your shoe. However, it was firmly attached, and your foot never slipped. As long as you didn't falter, you'd keep your balance. The log was large enough that even with how round it was, you had plenty of room. When you reached a halfway point directly over the heart of the stream, Baxter paused. Sorry to block the path. Can we take a minute here? Sure. He twisted, pivoting his feet so he'd face the water. You copied him and breathed in beauty. Together, you stood on top of a fallen tree as the stream flowed right underneath. The water was clear. The tiny fish darted in and out of hiding places. It was its own little universe tucked away at the top of a mountain. You found Baxter's hand. You took hold of him. He squeezed you back. Kiss him on the lips! Kiss him on the lips! You leaned closer to him, careful of both of your positions on the tree bridge. It wouldn't do to smooch your boyfriend off a tree. Smooch him off the tree. I think that's the best course of action, is to smooch him off the tree. He tilted his face towards you, giving you perfect access to your target. You kissed him on the lips. Much to his delight, he kissed you back sweetly before pulling away with a smile. I am quite grateful for my impeccable balance in cases like this. How often can you really get into situations like this? Oh, you'd be surprised. Suddenly there was a splash in the stream below. A ripple spread across the water, but the cause of it remained a mystery. There was nothing to be seen. Baxter restored his attention to the log. He tapped on the trunk, kicking off a loose remnant of bark. We don't actually need to go all the way across. Nothing particularly enthralling is over there. I've enjoyed our little tryst very much, but I believe this is the curtain call. Alright. You let the charge off the tree, Baxter's hand warm in yours. You both kept each other grounded until you actually reached the ground. As a joke, you pretended to kiss the ground. Thank goodness you didn't fall. That was magical. It truly was fantastical. Remember how at lunch I mentioned that this all reminded me of a dream? Romantic violence, kissing him off the tree? I mean, I do that all the time. I like tackle hug Gil. Because I love him. And I pick him up. I squeeze him. Because that's my man. And I love him. Up above the rushing water, standing in the sunbeam, deep in the woods, I can't imagine a more picturesque scene. Back to the trail. You nodded and started squeezing your way past the vegetation in your way. Baxter followed you for a change. Finding the path was under your feet. It sure was faster than trekking directly through the overgrowth. On we go. Are we going up or are we going back down? As your hike resumed, Baxter's jaunty attitude stood out. This entire trip, he had seemed different, more lighthearted. Usually when he was in a playful mood, it was more teasing. He was still very controlled, but out here, now, it wasn't the same. Maybe because he was in the middle of nowhere, he felt extra free, or maybe it was because he'd already broken character with his unintentionally stolen shirt. Or, and this was the strangest possibility to consider, maybe it was entirely normal for him to act like this and you didn't know. Gradually, it grew darker and darker. Less light made it through the canopy of leaves above you. The sun slipped behind the surrounding mountains. It was well into the evening when you caught sight of the hotel. Ah, we've arrived. Honestly, I am having many regrets. What? How could you be having regrets? His tone was light and jokey, but there was something boldly truthful to his words. I should have reserved the room for much longer. Everything is ending much too soon for my taste. He rubbed a hand through his hair, exhaustedly sweeping it back into place. However, at this point, there is no helping it. Yeah. You returned to the warm lights of the lobby, the plush red carpet squished in a strangely decadent way compared to how gross you felt from tromping around the woods all day. Baxter halted you mid-stride with a question. What are your plans now? You hadn't thought that far, but Baxter didn't pause long enough for you to answer. If you're willing, we could eat dinner together. For example, I have heard the room service here is divine. We could also go somewhere else, but I'd require a few minutes to change. I don't mind hiding away from the public with you. You gave him a thumbs up, you shrugged. Room service is fine. Ordering from the hotel was a lot more convenient than the alternative. After a long hike, you were ready to simply kick back. Baxter appeared grateful at your decision. Apparently the trek took its toll on him too. Marvelous. Now we can fully relax. Your stomach gurgled at the mention of food. The new plan was just in time, and you headed straight up to Baxter's room. He led the way to his suite like the hotel was the back of his hand. Like the hotel was... Yeah, okay, I read that right. Though it was a simple layout. But under his confident guidance, you reached the destination and he dropped your bags on the floor. The carpet muffled the thump. Baxter spread his now free arms widely to welcome you in. Please take a seat wherever you'd like. Can I sit on your lap? I want to sit there. Baxter moved towards the nightstand and scrounged up a pamphlet on the hotel services. He sat down at the side table. Boo! He said wherever I'd like, and I picked his lap. Baxter flipped through the booklet until he spied the menu. Found it. He joined you around the table and placed the menu down so both of you could read it. Sorry, my eye's itching a lot. I don't know if it's allergies again or not. I'm not very sniffly, so it might not be allergies and I might just have something in my eye. At a glance, most of the options were classic comfort foods, not the cabin in the woods aesthetic that the hotel was going for. However, it also had a sprinkling of high-end options to cater to a certain set of clientele. It couldn't be understated how weird the concept of getting lobster in a hotel was. How is that weird, girl? If the lobster's good. All entrees came with seasonal veggies and a homemade roll. In addition, you could also pick a side of mashed potatoes, fries, French onion soup, or a salad. Baxter was hemming and hawing as he did when spoiled for choice. You could only hope it wouldn't be as much of a struggle for him as choosing which ice cream to get. Oh my gosh, because that took several years. You considered the options for yourself and decided on full-size salad, shepherd's pie, pot roast, lobster and oyster and scallop platter, grilled cheese sandwich and tomato soup. You know, I've never had tomato soup, and the commercials and all the movies and stuff, when they have like a grilled cheese and tomato soup, they make it look so good, and I kind of want to try tomato soup, but I hate tomatoes. But maybe I'll like tomato soup. You never know. You never know, because I started eating tomato sauce on pizza again. So maybe. Turkey with gravy, bolognese, risotto, steak, prime rib, stillhead trout, lasagna, a gnocchi bowl. I'm gonna get a gnocchi bowl. You also hate tomatoes, but tomato soup is pretty good. See? Especially with the bread. I don't know, man. I'm thinking maybe I'll try tomato soup someday. I don't know who makes tomato soup. I don't know a place that makes tomato soup. But like, do you like just raw tomato? Disgusting to me. And I knew a girl, and she was vegan, and she would just eat like cherry tomatoes. She would just pop them in her mouth, and I'm like, girl, how are you doing that? How are you doing that? I was just amazed and shocked, because tomatoes are just icky gross. Like, I can only eat tomatoes if they're diced. They have to be diced. And I started eating tomato sauce on pizza again. If I have a choice, I won't get it. But like, if I'm sharing a pizza, then I'll suck it up. But like, it's not a preference. As for the side, you picked your favorite of the list. What did I even order? Oh, gnocchi. Mashed potatoes, fries. You know, I'll get some fries. You know, I'll go side salad. I don't know what's in the gnocchi. What kind of salad do you think it is? I think the chef's salad would be good. I kind of want a salad. You just don't eat tomatoes as they are. Exactly. Tomatoes as they are, disgusting, gross. And like, I can't just have like a diced tomato. It has to be like in something. They're fine as a sauce, or if they come on a burger or something. No, not for me. Can't come on a burger. I hate the sliminess of a sliced tomato. That shit's disgusting. Get that shit away from me. There's nothing standing out on the menu for me, but it makes it easy. But that makes it easy. I'll get the risotto and a side salad. Used to hate pickles too. Now they're fine. I hate pickles. I'd rather eat a whole tomato than ever sniff a pickle ever again in my life. Pickles are so fucking disgusting. I hate pickles. I hate cucumbers. Disgusting, gross, yucky. Blech. Blech. I'm so picky. I went out to eat with a friend yesterday, and she took me to this one place that's like a Japanese noodle place. I was not a fan. I got like yaki udon. It was not good. The pork belly was okay. That place was expensive as fuck too. And I was like, I tried a little bit of it. I was like, hey, yeah, I'm not liking this. Can you take this back? The drinks, guess how much your drinks were? $2.50 for a pop. And then what else did I get? I got shrimp and scallion dumplings because I felt bad. I didn't want my friend to be like sad that I didn't get anything and they were the only one getting stuff, so I got something else. And they were okay. $2.50, yeah. No, $2.50. That's not cheap. That's not cheap, Pippisepi. It's not cheap. I don't know what kind of rich man you are, sir. How big of a drink was it? It wasn't that big. It's like it came in a glass. But yeah. So I got that. And you know my total was? It was $14.29 or something like that. And I gave them a $3 tip. Because I did the math. I did like 20% and it was like $2.98. And so I just like $3. I felt bad because like, I don't know. but it wasn't a good experience for me because it was downtown too. And I hate driving downtown, and the food downtown is so expensive. Last weekend you went to this Italian restaurant, you ordered Italian soda that cost you €4. It was pretty good. It was a black currant soda. I don't know about that, man. I kind of want to go back to IKEA, but IKEA is so far away. So that lingonberry drink was really tasty. It made me feel good inside. I need to stock up on it. Let me look at it. Let me look it up again. IKEA not login, lingonberry drink. How do I get this? How do I buy this? Our food products can't be bought online. Darn. Shit looked delicious too. I want some so bad right now. Anyway, back to the game. I'm getting distracted over here. Is it the Dreiklingen? Yeah, I think so. It's like Dreik bubble, apple and lingen. Dreik bubble. But I don't think that's what I got. I don't think it was apple. I think it was just lingen, like regular one. I don't think it was sparkling either. I think it was just like soda pop. Baxter confirmed your order again, as well as repeating his own before swanning over to the phone room. He dialed room service and placed the order promptly. Yes, thank you. Goodbye. He hung up the call and sat down in the corner of the bed. He tapped his fingers on his leg. All that was left was to wait. He decided to spend the time cooling down from the hike and cleaned up a bit. Baxter cranked up the AC and washed his face with a damp towel. You collected a bucket of ice from the hallway ice machine and treated yourself to some crisp water. Crisp water. About 30 minutes after the order was put in, a knock rattled the door. Baxter volunteered to get it. Hello. You opened the door and let in a waiting staff member. The employee rolled in a cart carrying literal silver platters. They set out the food on the table for you. What did he get again? Please enjoy your dinner. Let us know if you need anything else. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Privately, you were impressed by the fanciness of the presentation. The staff member made their farewells, leaving you to your meal. You reconvened around the table once more. Do we get dessert? Can we get dessert? His food comes from the restaurant in the hotel. It's not a small operation preparing it. Oh? Chatting and chewing happened in turns. The topic inevitably came to your preferences for food. Everyone always talks about fries and ice cream going together well, but honestly, they're missing out on the obvious. Fries and whipped cream are even better. It's still sweet and salty in combination, but you don't have to deal with cold fries. Who wants hot fries with your ice cream? Never mind. I would prefer, actually, I think fries getting cold is a great consolation. Because sometimes the fries be too hot. Sometimes the fries be too hot. I would like warm fries. Warm fries with my ice cream, please. I kind of want to get that now. Cold fries. Have you had ice cream and fries before, Fifi Seffi? Like, I don't know if they have Wendy's in Finland, but sorry, I had to crack my back. Do you like it? But yeah, a Frosty and some French fries. That shit slaps. That shit slaps. It's delicious. It was alright. I'm disappointed in your choices. That wasn't even the first strange food he brought up to the conversation. He started off with something innocuous and then slip in an oddity to watch your reaction. I used to drink chocolate milk and Chinese food together. Like, I didn't drink the Chinese food, but I would eat Chinese food and I would drink chocolate milk. This was when I was younger. It was an odd combination. And then I used to put ice cubes in my chocolate milk to make it colder. I used to do some strange stuff. Used to do some strange stuff as a kid. How many were real and how much fell into the realm of 60% unique plants? I.e. complete and utter nonsense. Gross. I'll have to try it. Have you ever thought of fries with pies, you tease? I have no idea what's happening. You don't think I'm being serious? No, you didn't think he was serious. It takes a lot more to find good flavor combinations than rhyming. If it worked like that, then nothing would ever go well with oranges. Sure, Baxter. After many food admissions that Baxter, either the king of weird taste buds or a rating jester, dinner came to an end. When you glanced at the clock, you found that it was later than you ever would have guessed. It'd been a long day. Sitting back in the chair, you stretched your arms up. Your legs were feeling the effects of trapezing uphill for miles. A yawn bubbled up when your phone rang. Who'd be calling you at this time? You pulled out your phone to check if it was anything that mattered or a spam call. Liz's name showed on the screen. Right, of course your sister wouldn't wait any longer for a mandatory check-in. You were late. At least she hadn't jumped straight to the police. You're welcome to answer that if you'd like. I can give you privacy. No, it's my sister. You don't have to go anywhere. You tapped the screen to answer the call and put it on speaker. That way both of you could say hello. Hey, Liz. Surprise check-in, Princeton. Are you still alive? Did that Victorian-era emo man give you any trouble? Liz is on speaker. You cough violently at the opener. You laugh hysterically. He's not a Victorian emo man. Victorian-era emo men don't exist. Yes, I live. He's not a Victorian-era emo man. Your denial was quick and empathetic. Maybe you'd accept the Baroque or Goth, but didn't Liz remember the existence of emo bangs? Without the bangs, could anyone really be emo? That's definitely true. You can be emo without the bangs. But it doesn't help if you have them. Baxter was already leaning on the table with his elbow propped up on the counter. Now he lazily rested his chin on one of his fists. That's certainly a unique description. I can't say I have ever heard the likes of it before. Oh. She paused. Liz was now aware she said that in front of the so-called Victorian-era emo man. I stand by it. Hello to you, Baxter. I'm making sure that everything is well with my little brother, you understand? I do, completely. Fine, so again, what are you doing? We just had room service for dinner. Sheesh, lucky. I had to make my own dinner like a peasant. Sorry, you'll survive. What is this? You let them eat cake moment? Your let them eat cake moment. Despite Liz's retort, you could hear her muffle a cackle. Not a cuckle, a cackle. Maybe I don't want to survive. I want to thrive. Like you and your nobility boyfriend. Not my problem. The two of you went back and forth a while longer while Baxter watched with increasing entertainment. Anyways, clearly you're still breathing, so I'll let you go. I'd be discourteous to keep you from your suitor any longer. She spoke in a mock formal tone, poking at Baxter. He playfully responded. How gracious of you, Miss Rigel. You are indeed a gentlewoman. See you tomorrow, bro. Bye, Liz. See you then. Now I'm whispering that in my ear. I will. Make sure you take care of him. On that slightly threatening note, Liz hung up. Baxter's lips twitched upwards. Your family is charmingly protective. I realize that more and more every day. They're the best. I'm sorry about Liz's comment. Protective, more like annoying. I'm glad you're willing to put up with it. They're usually not like this. It's just unusual circumstances. That's right, and you shouldn't forget it. It's just the circumstances. I imagine. I am nearly a stranger, and I cannot deny that I'm imposing a great deal on your free hours. It's good to be cautious. And truly, I do like your family, at least as much as I can, from the little we've interacted. Speaking of, he lifted his head, and his hand fell under his chin and said, he furrowed his brow. In general, I would never dare to be this presumptuous, but I cannot deny that I am deeply curious about you as a person. So, I'll venture to ask if you'd be willing to share more about your family history. Oh? It makes sense. Your family was a mother and father who had children born to them. He knew that much. There were more ways than one that you could have all come together. You didn't remember ever explaining anything to him. I don't really want to talk about it. That's fine, I don't mind talking about it. You shake your head. We can talk about it. You can at least give him the highlights. Baxter humored many of your questions about him. Getting to know each other better was a two-way street. I'm adopted, and Liz is too. We're from different places, and we're adopted at different times. We weren't even born in the same country. It's amazing that we met each other at all. But we both were really young. We spent most of our entire lives together. Well, it's fantastic how you made your own beautiful family. Thanks, Baxter. His words made you feel warm inside. You respected how easily he took it. It made you wonder about his family situation. He had been rather closed-mouthed about it so far, and again, the two-way street analogy came to mind. Are you and your parents blood related? Oh, yes, we certainly are. His voice took a certain amused bent. His lips stretched thin. And parents might have well been through with me many times over if I wasn't their own flesh and blood. Before you could ask what he meant by that, he chuckled. Sorry, no. This is me being dramatic. They're family and I'm their son. That is what matters at the end of the day, blood related or not. Okay, it's nice your parents care about you. You wouldn't voice the flicker of worry. I'm thankful for that as well. If I wasn't the boy they raised together in any capacity, then there would be problems. He laughed some more and brought his fingers to his lips. That topic was over. Well, he pulled out the collar of his roommate's shirt. His gaze stretched out the room's ticking clock. It has been a delightful day, but I should not linger forever. Oh my gosh, words. There is much to do tomorrow. Good night, Princeton. He stood, and with a slight wave, he grabbed his bag to go. What if I... Okay, good night, Baxter. Baxter, this is your room. You wondered how long it would take for him to remember whose room this was. You waved goodbye. I'm just gonna wave goodbye. Baxter left without another word. The doors swung shut behind him. You sunk lower in your chair, getting comfortable. You were ready to turn in for the night. Your eyes fluttered closed for only a moment, when suddenly the door swung back open and startled you. Baxter came through it, walking swiftly with the most peculiar expression. Looks like he made use of the spare key you gave him. This one's my room. The other is yours. Oh, yeah. You were equally caught off guard by the realization. His hotel room was identical to yours. I should go. I apologize for rushing you out, but yes, that would be good. Baxter's voice was polite but laced with embarrassment. He'd been gone long enough that you wondered if he'd actually tried to use his key on your room and failed. Rather than pushing him any further, you got to your feet. With you moving to leave, Baxter found his shoes very interesting. I hope you get some sleep. Baxter hesitated to reply. You paused, sensing that he would answer. He just needed a little more time to choose the right words. I do intend to sleep, but in truth, I don't expect it will be soon. I'll be packing after you take your leave, and after that, who knows? What do you mean? What else could you do? Baxter chuckled and tapped his foot. I said, who knows, didn't I? Oh, you're so weird. You're so weird. You frowned defeated. He snorted at you, and it was difficult keeping a straight face. Okay, that's not exactly correct. I'll admit I know myself fairly well. I also am aware of a drink station in the lobby that is open at every hour. There's also a fire that stays lit all throughout the night as well. I'm expecting that instead of being in bed like a proper young man, I will end up in the lobby with a cup of tea. Would you mind some company? Hot drinks by the fire sound lovely. You hope that he was fine if you wandered down yourself. Oh? He narrowed his eyes and his smile curved up more. Am I a bad influence here, or are we enablers to one another? Enablers, you're not a bad influence, but you're a very bad influence. No one can make me worse. That's true, no one can make me worse. Neither, I've got to look out for you. I'm a worse influence on you. No one can make me worse. That is quite the bold claim. Is it a challenge? It's a simple fact. As you say. His amusement was tangible, and you were already looking forward to the next outing. I'll text you when I have made it to the lobby. His eyes twinkled with a familiar mischief. You'd kept your phone close. Good night, Princeton. For now. Night, guy. With that, you took the handle and left. You made it to your own identical room, conveniently right next door. The door's deadbolt clicked shut behind you, and you clicked on the lights. Despite the new illumination, the suite was not as bright as Baxter's room. How was Baxter's room so lively while yours was this? You sat on your cold bed inside. A familiar carpet was spread beneath your feet. The walls were a match. The same pictures were attached to the wall. Physically, there was no difference. The change was the fact that now you were by yourself. After spending all day with Baxter's grin, you were lonely in his absence. But at least that wouldn't last long. You'd see Baxter again soon, one way or another. The last and only full day of your mini vacation was drawing to a close, and the warm night pressed black and silent against the window panes. You tucked yourself into bed for a break, but had left all the room lights on. You didn't want to fall asleep yet, naturally. You idled the minutes away by counting the planks in the ceiling. Eventually there came the jingle of a text arriving. Unlocking your phone, you saw that Baxter sent you a text. It was short and to the point. I'm downstairs. He'd finally finished his packing. There's no need to respond. He knew you were coming. You wiggled out from under the covers and hopped off the bed, eager for the secret meeting. I wouldn't call this a secret meeting. You crept into the hall, which was brightly lit, although all the other patrons were holed up in their rooms for the night. No staff were manning the front desk. It was dead quiet and still. As you padded your way downstairs, the omnipresent silence seemed like it was something you could touch, a thin blanket swaddling you. Your footsteps and breathing felt muffled. In spite of that, the air was fairly cold. The grand foyer had high ceilings and the mezzanine floors, wide open space invited a permanent draft. The central fireplace might come across totally pointless in the middle of the summer in California, but that wasn't giving its due. Now blazing bravely against the chill, it was a welcome beacon of comfort. Surrounding the hearth was a raised stone platform. There you could see a lone seated figure silhouetted against the flames. It was Baxter, warming himself by the fire. A paper cup was clutched in his hands, a pale film of steam rising from it. He hadn't changed into his pajamas, still sporting the khaki interloper. He must have counted on nobody else being around to see the horror that late. The dull thud of feet on his carpeted floor heralded your approach. His portrait smoothly transitioned from a profile to a three-quarter view. His eyes met yours and he grinned. Princeton, glad you could make it. Rolling the thin cup slowly between his palms, Baxter jerked his head over to one side, drawing your attention to a long table against the far wall. The drink station is over there, if you'd care to partake. A beverage of some kind might be... My eye. I like my eye to stop itching. I like that a lot. A beverage of some kind might be just a thing to top off our late night rendezvous. Sure thing, I'll be back in a second. You can use a drink. I'll pass. You shook your head. You weren't thirsty. Sure thing. After crossing the lobby, you stood in front of the refreshment bar. It was covered in a thick tablecloth, the color of fresh snow, and a neat arrangement of clean crockery had been laid out on top. There were a couple jugs of hot water and a wide selection of different drink packets and individual tea bags. Next to those, 2 more urns of pre-made coffee had been labeled regular and decaf. A carafe? How do I say this word? I'm gonna look it up on my computer. Carafe, okay. A carafe off to one side seemed to house spiced apple cider. Ooh. The menagerie of liquid containers were completed with 3 smaller silvery ones, each containing a different kind of milk. They weren't stingy on the options, that was for sure. You decided to go for peppermint tea, chamomile tea, fruit tea, green tea, breakfast tea, regular coffee, decaf coffee, hot chocolate, cider, hot water. Who is just straight up drinking hot water? That's illegal. That's illegal. You picked up a cup, tore open one of the satchels of hot chocolate, and let hot water run over the powder. You mixed it with one of the coffee stirrers nearby, relishing the sugary chocolate smell. You snapped up the lid and ambled over to the fireplace again, Baxter raising his drink to tap it gently against yours. Welcome back. What's your poison? I went for a bracing cup of peppermint tea myself. I got hot chocolate. Delightful. A momentary flash of realization crosses his face, and then he let out a hum of amusement. It appears we found ourselves out to drinks yet again, Princeton. I must apologize for the lack of originality. I promise I do other things in my spare time, occasionally. It really was starting to become a theme with the pair of you. He snorted quietly into your cup. Baxter scooted over on his perch, patting the stonework with his free hand to indicate that you should take a seat beside him. You plop yourself in front of the fire, relishing the cozy glow of your skin and the heated slabs beneath you. Baxter was staring absently into the grate. As you sat there with him, enveloped in the warmth of the fireplace and the closeness of his presence, you felt sleepy, safe, comfortable, like you could have drifted right off to sleep there. You two were a flame you couldn't have slept in a million years. I don't know, I probably would feel sleepy. Baxter slowly sipped his tea and then set his cup down next to him. I must agree with you from before when you said it doesn't feel summery in this place. Especially right now, curled up in front of a fire, cradling a cup of something hot. It puts me in the mind of autumn nights when the days are beginning to waste away to nothing. And this decor too, the wood, the stone, the grandeur. I might have believed myself to be back in my childhood home in Oregon. Really? He lifted a leg up onto the edge and tucked his knee under his chin. Still focused on the burning light, his expression was distant, wistful. Yes, it's one of the reasons I chose this hotel, as a matter of fact. Though I never lived in a building of this scale, the effect is similar. You could say that I was raised in a big, cool house. Cool in the sense of impressive rather than underheated. That was what my friends used to call it. I loved it when they would come and visit. There was scarcely anything better. They never got over their sense of awe, and I ate it up. I think of myself special in those days. Ah, to be young and innocent. His features melded into a form that was more familiar, a curt little smile. How strange. Usually I find indulging in nostalgia to be an unpleasant endeavor, but here and now it's easy, and it's nice. I suppose it's because for once I can share my thoughts with another person rather than ruminating on the past by myself. His eyes peeked askance to yours, before returning once more to the flames. You placed your hand lightly over where it lay on the stone. You scooched closer, just enough for your arms to touch. You let yourself fully rest against him, one cheek to the side of his head. You watched him in silence for a long time. Let's do this one. He leaned into it and gave a sigh of pleasure. You made him happy. It hasn't been easy to find anyone to reminisce with, not for a while. But then again, I only developed a sentimentality once I'd gotten off to college. I was too young and proud for that sort of matter before then. There wasn't anything in my life to harbor much sentimentality for. I suppose leaving was the catalyst, isn't it always? But once that part of my mind had developed, there wasn't anyone around to share the emotions with, my classmates and I. We don't have that kind of relationship. Now, this may be a complete shock to you, but I've been told that I can come across as a bit too forward. I know, I can be hard to believe. Your voice cracked into a grin, understatement of the year, anybody. My intent is to be open with people so we can connect. It almost never works out that way though. I've had to come to terms with the fact that I don't possess a knack for making friends. It was obnoxiously easy when I was a child, especially to the aforementioned big cool house. But now I keep finding myself at a loss for how to do it. With a hit or miss endeavor, the vast majority of the time I come up with a miss. Only lately it's been different, incredibly different. Almost worry my luck won't last. His voice had dropped to a low murmur, barely audible over the crackling wood in the grate. It'll all be over soon. It was an echo of what he'd said after your hike this afternoon, but this time it went one small step further. Aww, babe. His eyes were closed now, and a shallow crease had appeared in his forehead. You understood that he was talking about more than your short stint in this hotel. I don't want it to end either. It was wonderful while it lasted. You can visit again someday. Even once it's over, there are things to look forward to. You squeeze his hand for a tight moment. You slowly nodded in acknowledgement. I don't want it to end either. That means a lot, Princeton. Thank you. You lapsed into silence once more, becoming engrossed in his own thoughts. You found that you were doing the same. Disparate emotions, drifting in and out of clarity. You both lingered a while longer, but your cups had been emptied and the fire was getting low. Baxter sighed. Unfortunately, we'd best call it quits here. We can't stave off the morning by avoiding the sleep altogether. Yeah, I guess you're right. You got up from the fireplace in unison. At some point, you started holding hands, though you couldn't remember when. You climbed the stairs and walked down the hall in companionable quiet. Pausing in front of the doors to your side-by-side rooms, Baxter cleared his throat, letting his hand fall from yours. Thank you again for your company, Princeton. It's been an enjoyable evening. Until tomorrow, then. His back was to you as he reached into his rear pocket, fetching his key card. Good night, Baxter. You unlocked the door to your room and stepped inside, heading straight for bed. You collapsed into it, your mind starting to lose grip on consciousness the second you hit the mattress. A new day greeted you suddenly, and without warning, sunshine streaming in through the windows. The curtains simply stood there and let it happen. You'd forgotten to draw them shut. The end of your miniature holiday had come. You promptly got out of bed and began to pack, following your usual routine as best you could. You didn't end up seeing Baxter until after 11 o'clock. As promised, he'd taken a lie-in after burning the midnight oil and had to make a last mad dash in order to check out at noon. Luckily, you managed to depart without too much of an issue. The two of you loaded up the car and set off for home. Home for one of you, at least. While you were returning to your normal life, Baxter was instead exchanging one kind of a vacation for another. Or maybe you thought, watching the California landscape drift past the window, Baxter was leaving his own version of normal behind right now. The mountainside lodge had been home away from home for him, a simulacrum of his life in Oregon, much more familiar than the sleek condo by the sea. You continued to reflect on this as the road rolled out before you. Occasionally, you would swap comments with Baxter on random subjects, at other times retreating into the privacy of your own head. Rapidly, your time on the mountain was fading into memory. You were lucky. You decided to have a small piece of Baxter. He had entrusted you with a shard of himself, a tiny spark of light, shining from somewhere deep inside. You understood him better, even if only a fraction. That was probably the only glimpse into the real-life Baxter were that you'd get. Oh, that's nice. Okay. We're gonna save. And I'm gonna drink some water, and then we're gonna go into planning. Ooh. Not me hitting the mic, as I always do. Okay, planning. Here we go. You cozily laid across the bed, lightly dozing in the morning sun. You heard birds singing outside your window and the occasional rush of the wind, but what you really were listening for was your phone, any minute now. It was a little while after when your ringtone cut through the silent bubble of your daydreams. You eagerly sat up and plucked the phone off of the blanket by your side. Should probably move this, actually. Hey! A forced deep voice on the other end answered you with an almost threatening edge to their tone. Princeton, do you know who this is? I'm on my way to your house. You better be prepared. The situation normally would have been worrying if you hadn't been expecting to hear from your goofiest friend Terry, or if caller ID hadn't been invented yet. The two of you had important matters to discuss. That's why she was coming over today. You played along with her covert scheme, sure. I do, and I'm ready for your arrival. Good, very good. Now this is a crucial matter of security. Is there anyone else in the room right now who might overhear this conversation? We are too close to the finish line to get our cover blown now. Glancing side to side, you observed your surroundings and cupped a hand close to your side of the mouth for added secrecy. No. I'm alone. Our mission is still intact. I knew I could count on my trusty cohort. You can trust me with anything. That I can. Just to be certain, you went towards your bedroom door and poked your head out. You couldn't hear a peep from anywhere, so you plopped back into your bed. Yep, I can verify that we're all clear. Anyone that's trying to learn our secrets has failed in their mission. Excellent, all according to plan. It wasn't hard to understand why Terry was so invested. Tomorrow was Miranda's 19th birthday, and the entire occasion needed to be perfect. Usually the Eckerts hosted a party for their kids, but this year was different. Miranda had no clue that you, Terry, and Cove were putting the whole shebang together. Oh, that's sweet. The pressure was getting intense. There was less than 24 hours before showtime. Miranda's friends and family were counting on the three of you. Terry dropped her game completely and got to the point. Are your moms gonna let you borrow the car? I don't know. Oof, that's not good. Straining Terry's voice wiped your smile away. This wasn't originally a problem. Cove was supposed to be the driver, but his request for time off work only allowed tomorrow for the actual birthday. So you could only rely on him to help decorate, but you and Terry were on your own today. We gotta figure out how to get to an actual party supply store. Yeah. It seems we've reached the first crisis point. That was fast. Can we use surprise from her parents already have? Can we make the decorations ourselves? We really shouldn't have put this off to the last minute. If there's a will, there's a way. That's the spirit. There must be something we can do. There has to be. I want to find something new, something fresh and cool. But what? Terry, I'm not sure what you're envisioning. What's fresh and cool? Oh, I know. Her party should have a theme. We can make food and decorations match. It'll look nice. What kind of theme? That's brilliant. I always wish my mom was to give me a theme party. You hummed in agreement. You let out a deep sigh over how much trouble this is going to be. Cove had a theme party once. We don't give a shit about what Cove have. What kind of theme, girl? I'm still working that detail out. That's fine. We have a little wiggle room left on the clock. Exactly. Now that we have a direction, we'll put our noggins together and figure out the perfect theme. And then we need to get all the stuff for it and put it together in the party room. Your mouth pressed into a hard line. Having a theme wasn't exactly progress. It was just another thing you needed to get done on top of everything else. You kept that train of thought to yourself and chuckled. This event was going to be a Herculean feat. But you had your faith in your friends, and together you'd find a way to make it all work somehow. Oh, and don't forget, there's that small problem how we're going to even getting to the store. That's non-negotiable. We have to go today. This needs to be huge. Miranda's parties used to be big. She'd always have the best birthday, at least before. Yeah. You never did get to go to any of the big birthday bashes Miranda's family would throw during the summer, but you'd heard all about them over the years. Both Terry and Miranda delighted in retelling those stories. Unfortunately, the past couple of years, things have been too difficult for the event at that scale. Everyone was older and 10 times busier during the summer. Terry groaned, understandably getting worked up over that struggle. Miranda doesn't even want any presents. All she asked for was for her friends and family to get together. We already have the perfect party room booked. That was supposed to be the hardest part. Everyone from Miranda's parents to you and your family and your friends, not your family, and your friends, pooled your money together around an actual event space instead of having it at her house or a public park. For a while now, Miranda had been insisting that she didn't need anything, but none of you could pass up an opportunity to show her how much you all appreciated her. It isn't even because she used to have big parties, you know? Even if that never happened before, this has got to be as good as it can be. Terry's mumbling grew increasingly more upset. She didn't hide an ounce of her worry. What if this is the last time we celebrated together? It was true, people were going to be leaving soon, and that included you. You knew Terry wasn't going to be mean or point any fingers, but you still felt that weight poignantly. Who knew what any of your lives would look like a year from now? Terry sniffled, her voice cracking with emotion. You couldn't do anything other than helplessly wait for the other end of the call. We need this to be our final big hurrah just in case it is. You felt bad for Terry. You felt terrible for Terry, sorry. You felt terrible about that too. That thought hadn't crossed your mind until she said it. You knew everything would be fine. You weren't sure what to think about that. Everything will be fine. The future may have seemed scary and uncertain, but it could get better. It could get better rather than worse. That's not true. It can always get worse, but it could always get better. Well, Terry sniffled and her tone quickly regained her usual fire. My dad's about to drive me over, so I have the whole car ride to think about our dilemma. You put your brain to work too, and we'll have this solved, no sweat. Wait, Baxter has a car. Ah, that's right. I can't believe I didn't remember he has a car. You're a genius, Princeton. Thank you very much. But do you think he would actually give us a lift? I'm pretty sure he'd do it in a heartbeat. For us, more like for you. Even though you couldn't see Terry, you could easily imagine the way she nodded over this new possibility. This is the way. Alright, I gotta go. See you soon. The fate of Randy's birthday is up to you. Me and now our remaining hope, beat the B-Man. Bye. You hung up on the phone and left it face down on the blanket. You flopped across the bed as your thoughts wandered. You kicked your feet, eager with growing excitement. Miranda was going to have a birthday that she'd never forget in a million years. While you waited, you opened a half-dozen tabs online on your phone and scrolled through the various images of party decorations. You kept pursuing it until a text notification popped up. I'm here. The doorbell rang as your feet hit the floor. You hurried downstairs and opened the front door. Hey, buddy, the party committee meeting is officially in session. Sliding aside, you gestured for Terry to come on in. She strolled inside and went towards the living room. Then Terry pivoted on her heel and folded her arms, all business. So, I haven't mentioned Baxter about all this. You should ask him in person instead of a wall of text. It'd be super rude to hit up someone you barely know and do you a big favor, you know? It's gotta be face to face that we beg for help. Fingers crossed he's home, so we owe it to ourselves and Randy's birthday to try. Yeah, and if he's not there, we can still try something else. This is a start. There's no better time than the present. Let's go. Terry nodded towards the door. She just came in through, and you both promptly left the house. Together you made a beeline for Baxter's condo and rang the doorbell. Terry gave the front door a knock for good measure. She wasn't taking a single risk that you might miss him by accident. As she declared, Terry crossed her fingers on both hands. The door opened a crack. Baxter curiously peeked out and then swung it open the rest of the way. He smirked. Well, isn't this the familiar sight? Last time the pair of you came in for my number, I wonder what today's mission could be. You're here! Terry lifted her bent fingers and threw her hands victoriously into the air. Amused, Baxter rubbed the back of his neck. I didn't realize I was missing, but yes, I'm here. I was simply getting ready to go out for the day. You turned your head away and tried to hide your smile. Of course, it was only now that he was making a move to go anywhere. It had to be at least noon before he'd do anything out of the house. Though, even if I wasn't home, you're welcome to call me. It's not my intent to be difficult to reach. Thanks, but we wouldn't want to interrupt you if you were busy. Perish the thought. It wouldn't be an interruption. It'd be an improvement. I know I'd be thrilled to see you anytime. Baxter's words were meant for Terry, too, but his gaze was set only for you. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Terry's grin widened as her eyes crinkled. You knew her well enough to tell that she was psyching herself up. Her hands settled on her hips. Can you give us a ride someplace? Yes, easily. He answered without missing a beat. Terry whooped and Baxter brightened, pleased by her enthusiasm. May I ask where you are going? Baxter, my good friend, we're going to the craft and party supply store. A party store? What's the occasion? The way he perked up with genuine wonder, you could have sworn that his eyes were sparkling. Terry pressed a finger to her lips and winked. Shh! We can't tell anyone, but we're going to give Miranda the best birthday of her young life. Oh, that's sweet. And that sweetheart is having her birthday soon? Congratulations. Yes. On behalf of Randy, I thank you. And on behalf of me, I thank you again for providing the transportation. We would have been stranded without you. Baxter graciously bowed his head. He picked up the urgency and importance of what your team was asking. Now that I know what it's for, there's no way I could ever refuse. I'm honored to help. How are the preparations going? A tiny nervous laugh bubbled up in Terry's throat. She glanced at you, scratching the side of her cheek. Well, we got a room booked at a place big enough to hold the party. It's a grand private event like she's never had before. It's great to hear. Yeah. We just need all the food and the party stuff to go in it. I take it that you don't have the caterers or decorators arranged then? We are the caterers and decorators. Me and Princeton mostly since Cove couldn't come along today.
Ah, I see.
Baxter idly tapped his finger against his chin, his brow pinched pensively.
Certainly this can be done, so there's no reason to worry. But when is the event?
Tomorrow. Terry's simple, upbeat answer to her gasp from Baxter. Bewildered, he slid a step backwards and grasped the fabric across his chest. That was easily the most dramatic reaction you've ever witnessed from him. There was nothing you could do to stop the snort and laugh that followed. Covering your mouth, you tried twisting away from your friends, but the battle was lost. His reaction was too funny. He was too aghast to even notice.
Tomorrow? It's tomorrow and you only have a venue and 2 people? Nothing else? And it's going to be a grand affair?
Baxter's mouth snapped shut following the outburst. Neither you nor Terry uttered a single word in response. The two of you shared a quick glance. Baxter took a deep, steadying breath through his nose. He slowly smoothed out the wrinkles in his shirt and exhaled. Once he was better composed, Baxter regained his usual confident air. He attempted to lightly chuckle, but you still caught the strain in his tone.
You may have more problems than the lack of a vehicle, I'm afraid.
Terry fidgeted her fingers out of embarrassment, but stood strong and explained her thought process. I couldn't get the goods earlier. Randy would have figured out what I was doing instantly. I couldn't risk it. And even if I managed the impossible, she's always at my house. Not having anything to sniff out was the best way to keep everything a secret. Crossing your arms, you could have hidden the decorations successfully at your house. Your teeth pinched the inside of your cheek just to keep that opinion inside. As long as we stay focused, it can happen. We've just got to buy the decorations today and make the snacks and then the desserts. Then we set it all up tomorrow before kicking off at noon. No problem. Right, how hard could it be, Baxter? There's no choice, but we have to do that now. There's no other choice, but we have to do that now. I'm not sure we're going to do it at all. You shrugged. We have to do it now.
That's true. There's no use wasting time on what's outside of your control. You must work within the circumstances you have. Well, since I've attended a number of functions, I'd be delighted to offer advice and assistance, today and tomorrow. I can definitely do more than simply carting you to the store.
No way! You're hired. Terry cheered this upswing of good luck. Baxter's eyebrow arched quizzically, and then you could see his growing amusement stirring.
Hired? Are you offering to pay me?
Nah, but you can join our secret party planning team. That's priceless.
I'll take it.
His tone sounded more happier than his tease employed for money. There really was no payment that would have made it more worth the while. Baxter laughed and gestured towards the street.
Let's discuss the details on the way. I imagine the store you have in mind isn't in town.
Terry hopped towards the street and partially twisted her heel. She tilted her head and smirked. Nothing's in this little beach town. With his hands in his pockets, Baxter stepped ahead, passing you to join Terry on the road. He had a few words as he crossed your paths.
Oh, I wouldn't have to disagree with that.
Your skin grew warmer for just that slight brush with Baxter.
My car is parked a short walk that way.
All right, team, here we go. Baxter slipped inside the condo to grab his keys. You and Terry loitered in the empty street while you waited. We totally hit the jackpot. Did you see his face when he realized this was a party? He probably has loads of ideas. I figured he'd be willing to help us figure this stuff out. Baxter didn't take long to return and lock up. You followed him to his car with a pep in your step, and Terry slapped her palm to the front passenger side door. Dibs on shotgun. Okay. I don't like that. Terry swung the door open, and your gaze shifted to her playful grin. You forced yourself to smile in return. Oh, okay. Terry popped into the seat as you shuffled backwards to let her safely close the door. Across, you noticed Baxter watching you silently. He didn't say anything, but you both turned to climb into your respective seats. Terry glanced at Baxter across the small space between them and winked. It'll be like your chauffeur at Princeton because he's a VIP.
Ah, yes. And where can we drive you today, Mr. Rigel?
Baxter buckled his seatbelt, then immediately began searching for nearby craft and supply stores via GPS.
Did you have a particular store in mind?
Oh, that one. She pointed on the lower half of the screen, and Baxter wordlessly set her pick as the destination. With that settled, the rest of you got comfortable and buckled into the ride. And for a ride, you know, They took all the Party Cities away, and I wanted to work at Party City. I applied for 2 jobs. I haven't heard back from either of them, but it's okay. Maybe I don't need a job right now. Maybe should just be for me for right now, and then once I get a job, it'll be more like a hobby instead of just like something I do. I guess that's what a hobby is, right? I wouldn't know. I don't really have a lot of hobbies. I'd just be doing stuff. Despite being the new guy in the area, Baxter confidently drove as if he'd been traveling these roads his whole life. He followed the directions laid out for him, but he also kept a part of himself focused on the task at hand. Baxter kept the conversation focused on how he could better help you and Terry with the party. He didn't hesitate to be a key member of this operation. Thank you for doing this, Baxter. Seriously, it's so nice. Thanks, Baxter. Considering you're working pro bono, I appreciate that you're taking party planning seriously. You're good for his help. That was unusual, but you kept that to yourself. No, thanks for the help, bud. Baxter quickly slid his gaze up to the rearview mirror. His sweet smile curved playfully as he returned his attention to the road. Though there's no real need to thank me. I'd feel horrible if I ignored your plight, especially when I'm in an easy position to help. You've got a real heart of gold in there. Terry lightly punched his shoulder. Baxter shook his head at her bold antics. He caught his eye for a split second in the mirror again. Wait, that's not good. I need a black heart, don't I? Perhaps I should turn the car around. Ah! I'm sorry. Did the voice actress bark? It sounded like she barked. Ah! No, you've got a silver heart. That's a grayscale. Baxter snorted and tightened his grip on the wheel. He's cute. He's cute. So, do we have an idea of what we're looking for? It's gonna have a theme. The parties can't just be a generic birthday party. We're going for something here. Why did he say excellent like that? Having a specific design core makes it all the easier. Baxter answered with a pleasant tone and peeked at the GPS. He turned the car at the intersection. And the theme is? We don't know. Somehow his smile remained perfectly in place. You imagine that he fully expected the lack of preparation at this point. Well, there are many concepts one can go with. For example, it's summertime and a classic style would be nautical. Perhaps desert chic for California, if you wanted to take our location into account. Or, what about this? While summer is scorching on the outside, the guests are treated to a winter wonderland inside. That kind of unexpected, unintentionally out-of-season aesthetic can be quite fun. Exhaling deeply, Terry leaned the side of her head against the glass and stared out the window, mulling over Baxter's suggestion. She sank her front teeth into her bottom lip. If none of those suffice, we can continue brainstorming. I don't know if any of those are right for Miranda. She doesn't care about what's trendy or seasonal, and what might impress her guests. That's a good point. There isn't some party, it's Miranda's party. Unfortunately, I only met the woman this whole affair is for once. There's not much I can glean from that, I apologize. That put him at quite a disadvantage despite his sincere intent to help. Frowning, he felt somewhat familiar. Nobody knew Miranda better than Terry, and that meant she should have the final say on those big decisions. Would you rather I stop proposing ideas? I'm sure whatever you think she'll enjoy most will be wonderful. No, I need so much help. I don't even know what party themes are. What am I even gonna pick one? How am I even gonna pick one? I'm so tired. Like I just got like a glaze of just like tiredness. Just like wash over me. Okay then. Should I keep throwing out ideas until something sounds good to your ears? I want to stream for at least 2 hours though. Yes, please. There's gotta be a theme that's perfect for her. I'll know it when I hear it. Very well. You could practically hear the gears moving in Baxter's brain. His expression scrunched up, and it was clear that he was silently compiling the list. Oh, wait. What can you tell me about the venue? The colors, the size, the style? We can use that as a base to work off of. It could be pointless to fall in love with the concept and realize it would clash with the room. Smart. I found the perfect place. It's pretty big. I imagine a space that's larger than the average living room. It's like 3 living rooms. She's got lots of family and plenty of friends coming, so we need it. There's also a lit up dance floor in the center, too.
A dance floor?
His eyes sparkle with excitement. You imagine the dance floor would be just as bright tomorrow.
Will the event have any slow dancing?
Who slow dances at a birthday party? It's not a prom. Baxter's shoulders slump in response while Terry's surprised laugh morphed into a small coughing fit. He sighed deeply.
That's true. If only someone was getting married instead. There's always formal dancing at weddings. It's a shame that as an adult, my eyes. Sorry. It's a shame that as an adult, the only appropriate occasion to dance with a partner besides a practice and competitions is such an uncommon event. But of course, this is outside of having your own actual partner who you can go dancing with whenever you like.
Your head tilted. Was that a hint? The two of you were dating. Did he want to go dancing with you? Or maybe there wasn't any intent behind his general statement. I promise to dance with you somehow. I promise to find a way you can dance with somebody. Next time there's a wedding, you're the first person I'm calling. It's pretty sucky. You didn't get involved in their conversation. I promise to dance with you somehow. He held your eye in the mirror for a second.
I would enjoy that immensely.
It was the least you could do for him after he willingly signed up to help you out. Never mind, sharing a dance with Baxter was going to be a special treat. You had zero intent to miss that. But Baxter shook his head, ridding himself of the indulgent thoughts. His attention flickered to the map.
Regardless, it wouldn't matter either way in this case. I apologize for getting off track. How else would you describe the venue?
It's shiny and pretty and pink.
That does give a strong picture of what the presentation can be. It's limiting, but in a helpful way.
How so?
Well, the most obvious direction would be to make the entire thing simply pink.
Cherry snorted and tried to suppress her giggles, but she was instantly unsuccessful. Randy does like that color, but she doesn't she doesn't feel the same way about it as you do with black and white. Now it's Baxter's turn to chuckle.
That's fair. So moving on, we have a pretty and sparkly. What else? Is Miranda a fan of glitz and glamour?
Well, no. Well, basically no. Harry's brow furrowed, and she slowly deflated in her seat. Renee wouldn't like trying to be glamorous. That's not how she is, and she wouldn't know how to act if that was the theme.
Is that so? Then, how about a faux high life theme?
And what would that be?
You sat forward wondering what either of those two words were supposed to mean in terms of decorating a party. Let me think of the best way to articulate the premise. Imagine plastic champagne glasses filled with sparkling cider and dainty desserts coated in shimmering dust. So they shine. A chocolate fountain with fresh strawberries to dip and colored lights, perhaps even feather boas for the guests to wear. The idea is that nothing is truly extravagant. It's tongue-in-cheek, but with all the celebratory fun of acting like a star on your special day. Not being that kind of person would be the point. Cute and silly, basically.
Cherry sprung in her seat, vibrating with excitement. She turned to you, but she was still rendered speechless from Baxter's proposition.
Did I strike a chord?
That would be so fun. Randy loves to let loose and not be so serious. But she's definitely a star.
It sounds as though we have a theme then.
Yeah, it's all gonna come together now. I was so struggling with that. Like I said, tiredness.
And we accomplish it without having to leave a car.
Wow, Bax, you're really on your stuff. Thank you so much for helping us figure this out. Randy's gonna be blown away. I never would have thought of that one. You applauded him, you sat quietly. Thank you so much for figuring this out. Hi, Jax. Hold on, my doggy wants me. It's not steam. Okay, I'm back.
You're quite welcome. I'm glad I could offer something useful.
Hey, being the driver was enough for us, but you exceeded expectations. The rest of the drive kept the secret party planning ball rolling, and the three of you took turns proposing suggestions for what you needed to track down at the store. When you arrived, the three of you entered the store fully focused on the mission. Though you felt underprepared standing at the entrance and scanning the cluttered store in front of you, shelves were piled with miscellaneous goods, and there was a strong smelling waft in the air. No, there was a strong smell wafting in the air. It was a mix of paint. It was like a mix of paint and scented something, maybe a pine cone? Curling your fingers into fists, you settled yourself for the task. It was going to be way too easy to get lost in the endless sea of bits and bobs calling out to you. The secret party planning team couldn't fail now. Come on, there's no time to waste. Terry took the lead, claiming a shopping cart and picking a direction. She pushed on ahead while you followed at Baxter's pace. It wasn't long before she was combing through the piles of knickknacks. Her fiery determination to make this birthday the best it could be was admirable, and you were resolved to match it. Your group traveled down several aisles, picking up a variety of supplies that had been decided on during the drive. The right-shaped cups, plastic forks, and spoons that resembled proper silverware, and the rest of the basics. You picked out some shiny tablecloths to replace the old checkered ones, and Terry found a few platters to serve the desserts on. Next on the agenda was to locate what you need to prepare the desserts but before any of you could do that, Terry stopped in her tracks and pointed. Oh, look! Craning your head, you scanned the area until you landed on what she was seeing. There in the distance were dozens of feather boas hanging over a row of long hooks. They were fluffy and came in several bright saturated colors. Grinning wide, Terry raced to the display and flung a ton of them into the cart. It was anyone's guess how many would be needed for tomorrow, and since there were a couple of dollars each, Terry was sticking with the old tried-and-true method of better safe than sorry. Eventually, her looting uncovered a single pure white boa. You instantly knew you needed that boa. It was perfect for Baxter. You grabbed it, mindful not to crush delicate feathers. They were soft against your skin while you examined them from hidden splotches of color. Sorry. My uterus is being very disrespectful to me. That's what it is. That's why I'm tired. Okay. Got it. Okay, I'm gonna try to go for like 30 more minutes. Hopefully I can. Luckily the feathers were immaculate, so you added the boa to the growing pile in the cart. It soon became lost in the sea of rainbow. Once Terry was satisfied, she stared at the cart. Everything that you'd selected before was buried under a pile of boas, and there was a lot more shopping to do. Maybe we should get a second cart.
I couldn't agree more. You two can take the cake decorating aisle, and I'll meet you there.
Thanks, B-Man. Baxter hurried to the end of the aisle and paused there. Glancing back, Terry sent him off with a playful salute, and he answered with a wave. Bye, we'll see you soon. After that, you and Terry ended up getting a bit turned around, but at long last you found the aisle with the cake decorating supplies. We're making her a cake? We can't get a professional cake? We can't get one from the grocery store? Like, I don't think I wouldn't want to make like a homemade cake unless it's by like a home baker. No, do any of us bake? Terry drove the cart back and forth, anxiously scanning the selection. So, like, what desserts are we gonna have? There should be a cake, but that can't be all, right? What about cupcakes? Randy loves cupcakes. That's a really good idea. Miranda's gonna be over the moon. Ooh, and you know what you should do? You should make them glitter and sparkle, and you should have little crowns on the cupcakes. That'd be cute. Yeah. Terry mumbled contemplatively to herself, leaning against the carriage. She nodded once, then again. I'll try it. No, I must do it. Hold on. When are you gonna have time to make 2 desserts? Tonight after all the shopping, or tomorrow when the entire room needs to be decorated? I can squeeze it in somewhere. We should split up the task. I'll make the cupcakes and you make the cake, okay? Really? Thanks, buddy. Terry dabbed an invisible tear from her eye and then placed a hand across her heart. No one can ask for a more loyal cohort. I'm glad to do it. I can't let you get all the glory. Of course, you don't need to do it all yourself. It's only me. Baxter's pretty reliable. It's not only me. Baxter's pretty reliable too. You small to her. Of course, you don't need to do it all yourself. Terry's mouth wobbled. Her eyes grew shiny. Thank you so much. Alright, so I've been thinking about making a confetti cake with vanilla frosting. That sounds delicious, actually. Could you make chocolate cupcakes with cheesecake frosting? No. No, I won't make chocolate cupcakes with cheesecake frosting. That does not sound delicious. And make them all pretty. Make them look all pretty, too. I got it. You add a thumbs up, and Terry excitedly pumped her fist. This is gonna be a great party. With renewed enthusiasm, Terry picked out a couple containers of gold and silver shimmer dust for the treats, and a pack of edible jewels and decorative stars. Terry reached up and snagged a big 19-shaped candle to go on top of her cake. Her arms were rapidly getting full, and then, just in time... There you are. I've been searching for you two. He wheeled the new cart over, but it wasn't empty. Simply sitting comfortably inside was a boxed chocolate fountain, a pack of wooden skewers, and a big bag of melting chocolate wafers to be used with it. Ooh. Terry leaned into the cart and examined the advertised features printed on the box. Some of the packets she was holding onto fell from her grasp and tumbled into the end with a clang. This is a good brand. It's not too loud. The music should cover the noise it does make, though. Works for me. Terry released the remaining things she was carrying into the carriage. They rained onto the unsuspecting fountain. You placed what you had inside next. Baxter studied everything you picked out while he was gone. You have excellent taste. These decorations are fantastic. Thanks, my cupcakes are gonna be almost too nice to eat. A feast for the eyes, then. Yeah, we got this in the bag. Are we gonna have more snacks than just cupcakes and cake, though? Like, are we gonna have ice cream? Are we gonna have cannolis? Are we gonna have, I don't know, macarons? I feel like having a macaron would be delicious. And it's fancy. Yes. Yes. I love eating tasty drywall. As you passed through more parts of the store, the three of you grabbed a few other last-minute odds and ends. Somewhere along the way, Terry found a sash that said "Birthday Girl." She eagerly snatched it up and threw it across a pile of feather boas. He pointed out some oversized sunglasses next. Ooh, good catch. Those totally fit the vibe. Nodding, you tossed a handful into the cart, and from there, your team circled the premises for a little while before deciding to check out and get your haul home. How much did that cost? The register area you discovered wasn't built anything like one at a supermarket. There wasn't a long conveyor belt to put stuff on, only a short counter space. Sorry, this will be in one moment. You flashed the cashier an apologetic smile and got to work piling up the dozens of party supplies from 2 full carts. Not one piece was particularly pricey, but with the amount of stuff you gathered, the total was skyrocketing. Even with the contributions from family and friends as a combination gift, it was going to be a close call. Terry's lip twitched as she tried not to frown. The displayed price grew higher, and there was still a mountain of things on the counter. Baxter stared at Terry as his brow furrowed. Then he reached over and plucked the chocolate fountain box, the skewers, and the packet of chocolate. No, I want that. Don't worry about it. I'm going to buy this part myself. But it's not a necessary supply that you were anticipating you'd buy. And it was my bright idea on top of everything. I'll cover it, my treat. Or rather, my gift from Miranda's party. I can't say no to that. Thank you so much. He gave her a pleased nod and went to the end of the line carrying the box under his arm. Baxter managed to get through the lines, stop at a different register, and complete his purchase well before you and Terry were through. He waited awkwardly off to the side on the checkout area with his bag. The poor cashier dug themselves out of the pile of sparkly and feathered goods. You caught up with him with the 2 carts neatly packed with bags. As you were leaving, a voiceover announced that the store would be open for another 30 minutes. Terry glanced at the overhead speaker in shock. Whoa, I knew we were here a while, but not that long. I'd say it was a successful trip. This was a massive success. Yeah, it was worth it. Your party planning committee exited the store and made your way through the parking lot. Together, you had to fill the trunk and part of the back seat. We'll take the carts back. Yeah, we got it. I'll stay put here then. Baxter leaned against the car door as you rolled away. The sky was dark and the night air felt invigorating after being in the stuffy, overly scented store. There was an added pep in your step now that you weren't weighed down by your party supplies. Terry shot you a mischievous grin and then raced past you across the pavement. Push the cart fast before jumping on it. Leaning forward, you made sure to keep yourself balanced on the empty cart. Your smile grew, feeling a cool breeze against your skin. When you returned the cart to the door, Baxter stood up, smoothed his shirt before opening the door.
I was thinking since Terry got to sit up front on the way here, I prefer it if Princeton got a turn for the ride home.
No prob. Terry hopped into the car with heaps of treasures, wrapping her arms around the side of the bags like a dragon sleeping with its pile of gold. Terry fished her phone out and messaged her parents that she was ready for them to pick her up. She explained that if they left now, then her mom and dad would be at your house by the time the three of you returned. After that, you simply needed to enjoy a comfortably quiet ride to the neighborhood. All that shopping ended up being more exhausting than any of you anticipated. After a brief and uneventful drive through sleepy streets, you arrived home to find a van parked outside. As you approached, you recognized the shade of green paint and the characteristic dent in the rear fender. Terry leaned out the window and hollered cheerily. "Alright, you made it!" Away from the driver's side window, it was Terry's parents come to pick her up as planned. "This is great, we can take most of the stuff home in the van." Terry jerked a thumb towards the piles of party paraphernalia perched precariously in the back of the car. "I can't believe I did all those P's, and I didn't stutter once." Look at me go. I can figure... no. I figure I can stay there until tomorrow. My old folks said we could borrow the van and take everything to the party venue anyway. It's like we planned it or something. Baxter slightly nodded, pulling up alongside Terry's parents.
Well, since we're transferring supplies from one vehicle to another, we might as well minimize the distance, Terry. Terry, would you mind?
He gestured towards the rear of the van. Terry nodded and hopped out to let her mom know it was safe to pop the trunk. While you left your seat, Baxter opened his own car, then gave Terry's mom and dad a friendly wave. Thus began the daunting task of unloading. Terry's parents noticed how much stuff you ended up bringing back, and soon they were also lending a hand. With all five of you, the seemingly endless stack of party goods was defeated in a few short minutes.
I think that's the last of it. Many hands truly do make light work.
You let out a sigh of relief, stretching their arms. They got sore from all the heavy lifting in spite of help. Bow down before the awesome and the terrible power of teamwork. Terry wasn't even remotely out of breath. She could do the whole thing over again without breaking a sweat. You counted yourself lucky she didn't threaten to do just that. Her sense of humor could be wild sometimes. Baxter leaned against the closed rear door of the van, casually addressing Terry and her parents.
Are you fine people headed home now? It's getting late.
A trio of assenting noises followed. Yep, we've got everything for tomorrow. Oh, hold on a sec. She marched over to where you stood and planted her feet on the sidewalk with intent. She stood to attention as though suddenly in the middle of a military parade. You could see she had an object clutched in her right hand, though it was difficult to make out in the dust. She must have taken it out of one of the shopping bags from earlier. As soon as I got home, the next stage of our mission commences. Don't worry about me, though. It'll be... Here it comes. A piece of cake. She lifted one of your hands and dropped the held item into it. 3 shimmering cylinders of confectionery glitter, of course. There was still work to be done tonight. Baking. You were raring to go. You were starting to feel worn down. It was a struggle to keep your eyes open. I'm starting to feel worn down, to be honest. All that shopping would wear me out. You slowly took the little plastic tubes of glitter and gave Terry a firm nod. You weren't about to let her down, no matter how tired you were. Good luck, Terry. See you tomorrow. I'll swing by to pick you guys up at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, okay? Party starts at noon, and we're gonna need all the time we can get. With a skip and a jump, Terry was already clambering into her parents' van. She waved enthusiastically as the sliding door closed. After retreating to a safe distance, you and Baxter watched the van pull out and head off up the street. It was surprising it could move anymore with all the extra weight. The glow of the headlights grew distant and then faded into night like a late summer dream. Suddenly you thought again about how fragile and fleeting your time in Sunset Bird was, and how the last season with your friends would vanish never to return. You had to make this party a success. You knew it in your bones. For Miranda, for Cherry, for Cove too, and for everyone else in attendance, for yourself. This party would be a celebration of Miranda, yes, but it would also be a celebration of your friendship and of each other. A brief instant of clarity before all things became uncertain, you had to make it count. All was quiet for a pause, and Baxter spoke.
I understand that there's one more job left to take care of, then.
He nodded down at the clear containers you were still clutching in your hand. Yeah, I still have stuff to do. It's gonna be a long night.
Well, I cannot say I'm surprised you aren't finished. It's a tall order arranging an event on such short notice. Not that I'm criticizing your attempt in the slightest. It's honestly admirable to see the commitment. But I'm getting off topic. What's next on the agenda?
He explained to Baxter the situation with the party food. He volunteered to make chocolate cupcakes with cream cheese frosting, while Terry would do the real birthday cake. It was a relatively simple order, at least. No last-minute meringues for Miranda. She survived the disappointment. How many cupcakes do we have to make? Is the real question. The edible faux metallic glitter that Terry handed you was to be the final layer of decoration, a touch of pizzazz that would transform the basic cupcakes into something more to theme. Baxter touched a hand to his mouth and nodded in agreement as you explained.
Of course, a pleasing appearance is hardly the most critical factor. A poorly baked dessert would still taste bad, no matter how it looked, but flair can help elevate a thing beyond itself. Suppose you could say it's the icing on the cake.
Baxter coughed quietly in his fist as though to muffle a laugh. Terry had been rubbing off on him clearly.
Regardless, that sounds to be a marvelous idea, though slightly less marvelous given how tight the schedule is. It's getting late.
There was no denying that. His thoughtful expression was obscured by the darkness around the both of you.
Here is what I would suggest. Why don't you come over to my house to do it? I can give you a hand with the preparation, if you think I'll be any use.
For how readily Baxter always offered his services, you shouldn't have been taken aback by his latest gesture. And yet, you still found yourself wondering why. Baxter had clearly anticipated your reaction, cutting off the question before you could ask it. He made a gesture as if looking at his wristwatch, though, of course, he didn't wear one.
It's nearly 10 p.m. Your family won't exactly thank you for baking this late at night. The noise is one thing, smell is another matter. Besides, your fridge might not have enough free space. Leaving the cakes out all night might spoil them. The fridge in my condo as well. There's plenty of room.
Baxter's diction had gained a faint quavering edge, like he was skirting around a nervous giggle.
It's empty, in fact. I have a conveniently empty fridge in a conveniently empty house. Perfect, wouldn't you say?
When he put it in those terms, it made total sense. Baxter sure did have a lot of foresight when it came to those things. It was impressive he was always thought that far ahead. You agreed it was an opportune set of circumstances, but as he talked about how empty his temporary home was, it struck you that Baxter sounded a little sad. It might be quiet all alone in that house. Maybe that was why he was always so willing to spend time with you, or the other people he knew around here. Okay, well, that would be really helpful. Thanks.
Don't mention it. I'm in it until the very end as far as this party is concerned. Call it a vocation of sorts.
The feeling's mutual. Baxter clapped his hands together. He's fully committed himself to the cause and ready to put a plan in motion.
Excellent. Let's get cooking, shall we? You'll have to retrieve ingredients from your house, since I don't have anything myself. The kitchen is fully outfitted, however, so you needn't bring any equipment. If you want to take care of things chez toi, I can begin prepping the utensils and such. I'll leave the front door unlocked, so feel free to let yourself in when you're ready.
Sure thing. And so, you briefly split up. Baxter walked briskly to his rented condo, while you made your way steadily home. You stifled a yawn as you fumbled for your house keys. Before shaking yourself all over, trying to stay focused, you could sleep later. Stop. When you came in, you spied your mom sitting around the living room. They were huddled up one of the couches, luxuriating in one another's company after a day's work. Ma's head rested on her wife's shoulder while Mom brushed fingers lightly through her hair. They could be a famous sculpture or painting sitting there. It was hard to witness your parents like that sometimes, not because it was embarrassing, although some people might have seen it that way. Your moms were a thing of tremendous gravity in your life. You were a fledgling that had fed and clothed and cleaned up after and loved for years and years, and soon you would be taking flight. You'd be gone. Maybe that was why you found yourself glancing down at the hardwood floor at the sight of your mom's. It was a lot to take in at 10 p.m., to be honest. But the sound of the front door alerted them both to your presence. The two halves of that piece of art moved in alignment and turned. Welcome back, sweetie. Nice of you to drop by, Princeton. Will you be staying with us long? A classic mom joke. You babbled out the whole Terry's organizing a last-minute party for Randy. Don't tell anyone. Been out all day. By the way, need to make cupcakes tonight situation. Not to mention, I'm going over to Baxter's house. Do we have any ingredients I can use situation? That was a whole lot of situation to cover. Oh, that's absolutely wonderful, Princeton. I'm sure Miranda will be delighted. You're all working so hard. It's getting late, though, and you've been going for most of the day. Mom was eyeing the wall clock and gave you a playful pout. Are you sure you don't want to call it a night and let your mom and me handle the baking? Mom's right. Don't think I didn't hear that yawn as you came in. Why not let us take care of the rest? You had to admit that was a fair suggestion. It had been a long day after all, and the full night's sleep would help you prepare for your festivities tomorrow, but you wouldn't give in. You shook your head, declining the offer. Miranda was your friend, and you'd given Terry your word that you'd take care of it. Besides, it wasn't as if your mom's hadn't also worked today. Mom's tiny frown deepened, so disappointed not to be allowed to baby you, but it was all in good humor. Alright, we won't push it, so long as you're sure Baxter's okay with you wreaking havoc with his immaculate kitchen. Mom let out an unbridled snort. He's a teenager living on his own, fam. How immaculate could that kitchen be? You opened your mouth to defend Baxter and all the other teenagers before realizing that it hardly counted if the only reason he had a clean kitchen was that he never used it in the first place. If his tone earlier was anything to go by, he'd probably even thank you for making a mess. It might brighten up the place. You didn't say any of this to your moms, though. You made it clear to them that Baxter had assured you it was A-okay. It was his idea to begin with, after all. He'd been insistent on helping like certain other people you could mention. This mollified your parents, though they teased. They were acting entirely out of consideration for your temporary neighbor. Too bad Baxter Ward had out-considered them already. I understand. You'll handle it like the grown-ups you are. At least let us help you gather the ingredients together before you go. Pam, do you think you could get the... Already on it. Mom had headed towards the kitchen, began pulling things out of cupboards. Your mom and I actually have some leftover boxes of chocolate cake mix from... Oh, I forgot what it was for now. But you're welcome to take it all, honey. That should save you some time. The frosting will be made fresh, but I always find that's the easiest part. Will have to be made fresh. Oh, and we also have... Mom's arm shot out from behind the fridge door, clutching a large tub of cream cheese. She placed it next to a row of bright red boxes of cake mix and a half-dozen eggs on the counter. You should take some extra muffin tins too, just in case. If Baxter's oven is big enough, you can make multiple batches at once instead of doing it in stages. You might not need it, but being prepared never hurt anybody. Here, Mom paused, a thoughtful look on her face. Unless you were making a plan to, say, assassinate someone, then your preparations would be designed to... Pamela, the muffin tins! Right, muffin tins. We have 2 you can take along. Cupcake liners, too. Well, they were meant to only help you. Your moms did all the work of getting the supplies, and soon you found yourself ready to head over to Baxter's condo. They kissed you one on They kissed you, one on either cheek, and shooed you enthusiastically out the door. You hurried across the street, lugging your cargo in 2 large grocery store branded totes. Once up the front steps to Baxter's house, you gingerly rearranged things so you were able to grab the doorknob. As promised, Baxter had left it unlocked and a panel of light spread over your feet. Settling yourself in preparation for the last stretch of the interminable day, you gripped the bag handles tighter and stepped inside. Stepping briskly through the entry, you recalled that Baxter's condo had a kitchen directly opposite the main living room. You made your way straight there. Baxter was waiting for you beside the fridge and swiveled around when he heard you enter.
Ah, you're here. Excellent. Welcome, welcome. Were you able to find everything you need from your house? Many places might be closed this late, but I'm not opposed to a trip to the grocery store if necessary.
You casually lifted the 2 large bags of ingredients and baking supplies and placed them on the counter between you. No need. I managed to get everything. You both made a start on unpacking the bags of ingredients, but before you could get very far, there was a sudden exclamation from Baxter. In your hands were 2 boxes of cake mixture.
Oh, hallelujah. I was hoping you'd bring something similar.
Being that genuinely glad, you couldn't help but let your eyes widen in surprise. Are you not much of a baker? Baxter sheepishly raked a hand through his iconically colored hair.
Practically speaking, I actually haven't the faintest idea of the kind of baking I'm capable of, though the probability suggests that it's unlikely to be much. To tell you the truth, I have never baked before in my entire life, whether using a pre-prepared mix or not. I only imagine that this would be easier, potentially.
That's okay, I'm pretty good at it myself. It's not that hard, no need to worry. Yeah, it's not that hard, bro. And decorating is essential too. I've got this. Although, to be honest, decorating isn't exactly my forte. On the other hand, I'm a complete disaster at decorating. Decorating is not really my forte. I'm kind of shit at it. Baxter's mouth lifted in an impish little smirk.
In that case, we can lean on each other. 2 heads are better than 1, and all that. At least, that's the theory. We must soldier on either way. Speaking of which, let's get baking, shall we?
You finished unpacking the remaining ingredients, lining them all up carefully on the countertop. Baxter took the second bag and did the same.
That reminds me, I might have been a bit hyperbolic when talking about how bare my fridge is earlier. It's not as if the thing is completely empty. At the time, I wanted to assure you that it wouldn't be any trouble for you to come and make use of it, and there definitely is plenty of room. But I'm not completely incapable of providing a basic level of hospitality. If you're ever hungry or thirsty, let me know. This news came as a relief for you, probably not for the reason that Baxter was expecting. Sure, it was great you wouldn't starve while you were here. Mostly, we're glad to hear that Baxter wasn't living on his own with nothing to eat in the house. You know, I was also concerned about that too. Like, I didn't voice it, but I was definitely thinking about it. Because I'm like, does he eat out all day, every day? How's he living? My poor baby. My poor man. That mental image had been so lonely. You thanked Baxter for the offer, although you weren't in the mood for anything at the present. At some point in the conversation, Baxter had rummaged around in a cupboard and added a third muffin tray for the 2 of yours. The kitchen happened to be supplied with one of these already, but thank you for bringing the spares in case of emergency. As often happened in your life, you found yourself offering a prayer of thanks to your mom for reminding you of the blindingly obvious. Actually, I think we should use them all. It's pretty inefficient to bake only 1 tray of cakes at a time. Depending on how big your oven is, we could do 3 together. Baxter eyebrows lifted a fraction in surprise. Not true. There should be enough space. The pans aren't terribly large. I'll double check.
He picked up the trays, walked over to the oven, and opened it up. He put it inside, took it back out, then tried putting it in again long ways, then he nodded, apparently satisfied.
Yes, that will do it. Especially if we use more than 1 shelf. 3 dozen cupcakes at once? We could almost start a bakery.
He was more than a little tickled by the idea, so he refrained from pointing out that he'd first have to know a bit more about baking to actually run one.
Another matter squared away. Where shall we begin?
Without saying another word, he tore into the cake mix. We'll start with the batter, which is the mix plus water, oil, and eggs. Normally you'd use milk, but the mix we're using has powdered milk in it to begin with, so water is good.
I see.
We also need to set the oven to preheat to 350 Fahrenheit.
Excellent. That's relatively straightforward.
The pair of you promptly made a start, measuring out the ingredients into the mixing bowl. Didn't present any real challenge. Baxter insisted on cracking the eggs. I'm tired. I think I'm gonna end stream. Thank you guys so much for joining me for stream. I really appreciate it. Stream did not turn out how I wanted it to turn out. But that's okay. That's okay. Friday, I should be streaming Too Hot to Handle. We're doing the reunion episode. I don't know how long that's gonna be. I don't know if it's gonna be like how the episodes actually go in the game, or if it's like 5 whole like just little chapters. So we'll see how that goes on Friday. But yeah, with all that said, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you want to join the Discord, join the Discord, because the Discord is the Discord. I'll put the link. That's where you can keep up with me, my schedule. You'll know if I change anything like I did today. We actually weren't supposed to be playing this. And yeah. Thank you for showing up, thank you for chatting, thank you for lurking, thank you for showing up in any way you can possible. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a nice rest of your day, week, month, year, and life. And I hope to see you in the next stream. Bye!